And now, ladies and gentlemen, with the most exciting words in the world of motorsports, here is our Grand Marshal. Race loose.
Drivers at the ready to challenge this track for 400 miles. Hi, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds and Daryl O'Waltrip with a little bit of Irish luck, and you're going to need that today.
It was Eddie's.
To get to the checkered flag after our F-Troop pre-race. Well, Larry, now, if your car wasn't working too well in yesterday's bright and sunny and hot practice session, how do you feel about this cool, cloudy, damp weather today?
Well, the agony of a crew chief continues here at Darlington. You know, there are 43 cars in this field. About 41 of them that I talked to this morning are not happy. Lots of adjustments. They hope the cooler track temperatures solves a lot of their handling problems. That race car gripped that racetrack better. Now, the 2 or 3 that were happy, they hope they've made the right adjustments to compensate for the cooler track temperatures.
Now, Daryl, what if you're Sterling Marlin, who lost an engine yesterday, or Ryan Newman, who cut a tire and hit the wall in the last minute of practice? They have to start at the very back of this field.
Well, that's our 2-point leaders, first and second. They're at the back. But let me tell you, a key word here. We talk about anticipation, a lot of things. Knowledge. You need knowledge of this racetrack. You need to know when to lift out of that throttle and let that guy by on the inside. You need to know when to make that crossover move and run under a guy down here in turns 1 and 2. You need knowledge. Experience, yeah, that's good if you've had good experiences here, but few have.
And you're going to need a little luck today to get through 400 miles on the track that's too tough to tame. Among the stories of the day, perhaps the happiest, is the return of Steve Park to NASCAR Winston Cup racing today. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, proud sponsor of the Bud Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each Winston Cup race. Today it's Ricky Craven. He'll be in the Bud Shootout of 2003 with these other drivers. Since 1979, Anheuser-Busch has awarded more than $7 million as title sponsor of the Pole Award program. And there's Craven getting set to roll off as we have a look at our Walmart starting grid for today's race. By 3/1000ths of a second, Craven won the Bud Pole over Jeff Gordon.
Those flames will feel good today, Larry. Nice cool day.
Yes, sir. Newman goes to the back in that backup car. Good run for Steve Park. Elliott Sadler. How about that?
Why don't we see if we get Steve Park, see how he's feeling?
Let's do that.
Steve Park, this is DW up in the TV tower. Bud, how you read?
Reading good, DW.
You ready for 400 miles here on this old lady?
Yeah, she's a tough old girl, but I'm looking forward to running all 400 miles and feeling good at the end.
How's your mount? Pretty good from yesterday?
Benzo car is running real good, and like I said, with the rain it kind of throws us all a curveball, but we're looking forward to run the race as best as we can.
Well, from all us up here in the TV tower and all your fans and the millions that are watching at home, good luck, my man. Stand on it.
Thank you, DW. I just want to thank Benzo again for their support through this whole trying time, and my mom and dad.
Steve's dad, Bob Park, former runner-up for the National Modified title. Longtime racer. His mom, Dottie, runs Steve's fan club.
You saw Dave Blaney, who qualified 25th. He, like Ryan Newman and Sterling Marlin, he will have to go to the rear of the field. After happy hour, they found water in the oil, engine problem, changed that motor. He'll have to start at the back as well. And I want to document the reason that Ryan Newman wrecked yesterday wasn't over driving the race car. They found that he cut a left rear tire down in the middle of the corner. Not the right place to happen.
And what exactly, Larry, was Sterling Marlin's engine problem?
They pulled the lifters out. These guys are going through an inspection process. They're looking at push rods, they're looking at valve springs, and they pulled a lifter out and saw that it had some wear on it, which maybe indicates the camshaft was wearing out. Much better position, being the points leader, put a fresh motor in that thing.
Yeah, it's not where you start. it's where you finish, and you got to finish to maintain that point lead. So there's Sterling dropping back to the tail end, back behind Andy Hillenberg, who's in the Dave Marcus car today. There were 43 drivers here, 4 of the 43 qualifying spots, so nobody went home. Everybody's in the field.
Sterling Marlin, this DW up at TV tower. How you read, bud?
I got you loud and clear there, DW.
Hey, it's a long way to the front, buddy. What you gonna do?
I think we got a real good car. We just we'll try to ease up through here and get a little track position and get where we need to be. Try to win this thing.
10-4, you were quick in both practices yesterday, so you got a pretty steady ride there. Good luck to you, bud.
All right, thanks, Darrell.
The rule in NASCAR, if you go to a backup car or a backup engine, after the weekend starts, you start in the back. That's where those 3 cars are. Matt.
Well, Mike, one driver to keep your eye on is 2-time Darlington winner Ward Burton. He doesn't have the same car he won with here last fall, winning the Southern 500. They gave that car to their teammate, Hus Strickland, who brought out a newer car, which is a sister car of the one that won here last fall. But the car not to their liking. They made 3 minor changes this morning. They're hoping the cloud cover and those changes put this car back in victory lane today. To Steve.
Well, Matt, I asked Ryan Newman's crew chief, Matt Borland, how does your strategy change now that you have to go to the back? And he kind of chuckled and said, we're just going to pass them one at a time. Really, our strategy doesn't change at all. We're going to do it on the racetrack, and we're going to help them also on pit road. Dick Berggren.
Before a race starts, there's not a lot you can count on, but this one thing you can count on at Darlington this afternoon. Every time the caution flag waves, they're going to come in for tires. Most teams have a dozen sets of tires mounted up, $18,000 worth of them. That's because this place eats tires. Mike?
Thanks, Dick. We're on the Dr. Scholl's pace lap. Green flag next time.
Here they come.
Coming down for the green flag. You're going to say it, aren't you?
They know.
All right, we're racing at Darlington.
You have to wait till that last car makes it through 1 and 2 to say we had a clean start.
Oh, yeah, this is nervous times right here. Nervous times for everybody.
Darrell, I've never seen a field go single file so fast.
Well, it's only a lane and a half wide racetrack. Why?
After they get 10 or 12 laps on those tires, they'll have to start moving that car around, find where their car drives a little better.
And really, what you try to do here is you try to pounce on everybody as quickly as you can. Try to pass as many as you can because you got them grouped up here in front of you. And particularly if you're in the back, you got to be cautious, but you got to go, baby. You got to go.
You know, just like that 1955 footage we saw in pre-race, Mike Skinner went into turn 3 on the flat and then found a way up in the banking.
You can do that, but that's when you're going to put that big slide job on your buddy next to you.
And you hope it's a controlled slide.
Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, Michael Waltrip.
It's all a battle for 12th.
And Kurt Busch really got his, I mean, he went in a position there that I would not suggest he tries very often. He went in there just a little to the outside of Michael, and that is treacherous.
And you heard Jeremy Mayfield burp the throttle there, mid-corner.
You drive the race car here as much, if not more, with the throttle pedal than you do your steering wheel.
Yeah, you know, you want to man it. You want to get it wide open because you can go fast, but that's impossible here. You can play with that throttle all day long. Shauna Robinson just got up in the wall down in 3 and 4. And I don't think she's been on the track all weekend as she had hit the wall. She got her Darlington stripes.
Once in practice, once in qualifying. You see how that wall just looks like it's going to reach out and grab those cars.
And a lot of times does.
It actually does protrude out into the racetrack. It's not as symmetrical a wall as it comes off that corner.
Clean and green through 4 laps.
You know, one thing about all the drivers, they, for the most part, they respect this place, and they know that they have to give everybody a break. The problem you run into here is after about 2.5, 3 hours, you get tired, you get irritated, and you stop giving people breaks, and that's when we have trouble.
Darrell, looks like if you're not running flat out, it's more mentally draining to hold back.
It takes so much composure, Mike, to drive here because you can't race the other cars. That's not the fact. You got to race the track, and you got to play with the car all the time.
Larry, how many times are we going to hear the spotters and the crew chief say, race the racetrack?
You have to. I mean, you get in your own zone, and you do your own deal, and in about lap 250, you see who's left, and then you go racing.
Yeah, you know what? But that's what you do. But you know what's wrong with that? There's always somebody behind you wanting you to go on.
Yeah.
They don't have horns. They got bumpers, and they use them.
Like Earnhardt Jr. there alongside of Kevin Harvick.
But I've been watching him, guys. He started back in the 23rd position. He just passed Kevin Harvick for the 16th position. He's been picking a car a lap off. He's been picking and choosing where he goes by him, Darrell.
You know, I said, Dale used to do that here all the time. He qualified terrible, but when that race started, he was the guy you wanted to follow to the front.
Dale Earnhardt won 9 races here at Darlington, second only to David Pearson, the track's all-time winner with 10.
we're starting to see different agendas down in 3 and 4. We see some up against the wall. We see some of the cars running right around the bottom. It's where your car feels the best.
I mean, a driver doesn't want to get up next to that wall. You want to leave yourself a little room for a little margin for error. But the car just slides up there. You can't help it.
Mike Skinner's had a good run. Started 29th up to 19th. There's Bobby Hamilton inside of Johnny Benson and Brett Bodine and Hunt Strickland.
I talked to Mike Skinner last night. One of the big improvements from the first 4 races is they said they found about 20 or 25 horsepower over the last week. There's just no substitute for horsepower anywhere we go.
Well, I think what they did, they used a Hendrick engine a couple of times and realized that one of their problems was back at the motor room. They went back home and whooped up on Pittman, and I think he's responded.
You know, even though we hear him playing with the throttle, you still want as much horsepower as you can have when you finally go full over throttle.
All right, Matt Kenseth just went past Terry Labonte, and now Sterling Marlin makes the same pass. So Marlin will climb to 32nd.
In running side by side here, it takes so much time out of your lap time. As you were talking about Ryan Newman and Sterling Marlin in the opening, Darrell, I couldn't help but think, as a crew chief, you talk out of both sides of your mouth. You say, be patient, but hurry, you got to go.
That's right. Yeah, you're telling the driver to be patient. You got a stopwatch in one hand and the button in the other one. You got to get it, but be patient, be patient.
The leader, Ricky Craven, at Rockingham, he led the first 104 laps of the race, but now he is under pressure from Jeff Gordon.
And one thing you'll hear here is don't let that guy hold you up. A car can hold you up and cost you a second a lap here.
For Steve Park closing in. Jimmy Johnson and Jimmy Spencer are the top 5. 10 laps complete at Darlington. This is NASCAR on Fox. When we left, Ricky Craven was under pressure from Jeff Gordon, but Jeff Gordon had a mirror full of Steve Park, who has now moved to 2nd place. Boy, Darrell, that's the best medicine there is right there.
And folks at home, I don't know if you have any idea, any concept of what it takes for this young man to be back in this race car, Steve Park I'm talking about, performing at this level at this racetrack. There was just a few months ago, that we thought he had a career-ending injury. He has worked he worked hard, he's got himself back in shape, and here he is today getting ready to challenge for the lead at Darlington.
You know, this type of racetrack has just always suited Steve Park. I mean, a year ago, he led the most laps, ran 2nd here, should have won that race. This type of racetrack, meaning a racetrack that's very abrasive, wears the tires out, the car starts sliding around. He won his race at a racetrack like this, which is Rockingham.
He told me, we had him on the show that night, and he said, everything's fine, I just don't talk right. He said, but then I am from New York, so I didn't talk right to start with. By our standards, I guess.
Andy Hillenberg in the Dave Marcus car made a pit stop. They lifted the hood and then pushed Hillenberg to the garage area. Let's get an update on the front row starters from Dick Berggren.
Well, Ricky Craven's car is a bit tight. That's his problem. That's why he is dropping back. Ricky Craven also is a little bit tighter than he wants to be. Meanwhile, Steve Park's crew has told him, you've got a good car, but we'll hear this all day. Take care of your tires.
Boy, he is getting in that 3rd turn. Woo! He drives that thing down in there, and so far it's stuck, but he better be careful. He's all over the back of Craven, and he's going to put the big move on him right down here. Here he comes. Put the crossover move on him. Nah, it wasn't quite in position. That's what you do there, though. You run that guy down in that corner as hard as you can and make him slide up the hill. Whoa!
Like that
slide. And all you can do, Darrell, is back off the throttle, and that's what allowed Steve Park. He was able to stay in the throttle, takes the lead here at turn 3 and 4, lap 19.
Look at these fans. Look at these people on their feet. There was your crossover move right there. He just did it on the other end of the racetrack. Didn't quite pull it off. This place is notorious for that. Slide up, cut under.
You're carrying so much speed on the exit of these corners. I mean, you've been in the throttle for a corner and a half, and you get to the exit, and you're just carrying so much speed, you run out of race.
Well, when you drive in that hard to get by the guy, you've got to get on the brakes, because if you don't, you'll slide into the fence. And while you're on the brakes, the other guy turns under you and drives by you.
Now, I want to talk about the guy who finished last at Daytona, but he's followed up with 3 straight top 5 finishes and moved to 5th in points. Tony Stewart almost wrecked qualifying the other day. He did get in there on time at 36, but he's only moved up 2 positions. And I don't think anyone expected him to stay back there and not make a bunch of moves. He's in 34th right now.
And based on the way that car usually runs, he likes to ride around the bottom of the racetrack. That car works good that way, and you cannot do that here. You've got to get up next to that outside retaining wall and scrape it.
and he's almost 2/3 of a lap behind the leader already, so they're coming in a hurry.
Like I said, scrape it, not hit it.
Oh, you can hear there, Stewart spends a lot of time out of the throttle in the middle of that corner. Which is easy to say from up here. I'm sure down there it's a handful.
The car's probably too tight, and they'll probably make some adjustments, and he will get better, but he's a half a lap behind the leaders right now.
Ward Burton there being challenged as they roll down the back stretch by Bill Elliott. 2 Dodges going at it. And Jimmy Spencer now has Jeff Green, who's reeled in Spencer at 5th place.
And we talk about this so much about these guys that come in here and run the Busch race on Saturday. And now the Busch race is after all the Winston Cup practice is over. So I just think you get a better read of the racetrack, what it's going to do in race conditions. And Jeff Green finished in the top 5 yesterday. You have to believe he comes in there and makes adjustments based on what he learned yesterday.
And this track, I don't care what anybody tells you, it might be cloudy, it might be overcast, it might be cool, but it's still the slickest track we go to. All it does is a little more comfort for the driver.
Here's Jeff Burton, who's moved up to 11th. And let's check with Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, we've been listening to Ryan Newman. He says he's both loose and tight. The biggest problem he has in that 12 car is that he has absolutely no grip. They've got some spring rubbers loaded up in that 12 car, and he wants them out.
I talked to Matt Borland, his crew chief, this morning. I said, Matt, tell me about the history of this backup car. How many races? How much time do you have with it? He said we have about 40 feet with it, from the shop to the chassis dyno to the truck. Brand new race car just finished this week.
And as a driver, let me tell you, if you haven't driven a race car, even though you build them all alike, you get in and the pedals aren't exactly where you like them, and the seat's not exactly like you need it. He didn't have a chance to practice this car. So he's out there in a car that he hadn't been in ever, with a lot of things that are probably very distracting to him.
17th place race here. You saw Ricky Rudd go on and take that spot as Michael Waltrip now tries to fend off Mark Barton.
Uncle Mike loose.
Shauna Robinson off the pace back straightaway. Already gone 2 laps down, and that car slows. Looks like it's coming back in.
Yeah, they wasn't even really intending on racing here. They decided on Tuesday to come here, and she said, we're just going to try to use it as a test session just to get our feet wet with each other between her and the race team.
Steve Park, who last year led the most laps and finished 2nd in his comeback race, is leading from Ricky Craven, Jeff Gordon, and Jimmy Johnson. Welcome back to Darlington. Steve Park leads. Hut Strickland had moved up from his 39th starting spot up to 24th, but just gave 2 of those spots back as Sterling Marlin went past and took Jerry Nadeau with him.
Well, what you do when you move up like that, you know your car's good, and so you relax a little bit, and you can give up a spot or 2 here. If the guy gets the pressure in you, that's the best thing to do, is let him go by.
Hut finished 2nd here, Labor Day 1996, one of his 2 career best 2nd place finishes.
And you just have to believe with his teammate Ward Burton being always as good as he is, they took some of those setups from those guys. But look at Dave Blaney in the 77. Remember, he had to start at the rear of the field with Sterling Marlin, that group as well. He's moved back up to 27th position, battling Hutt here for 26. So he's got a good race car, just taking his time trying to get to the front.
Plus, this is about 30, 35, 40 laps is when the car goes through an incredible change, like you flip the switch. Those new tires that you start to race on, all of a sudden they're not new anymore, and that thing starts to get in that Darlington slide to it.
Well, a fuel window here is about 65 to 70 laps. About lap 30 to 40, the old driver comes on there and says, how much longer forward pit?
That's exactly right.
I need me 4 tires.
And it is. It's just like you flip a switch. I'm telling you, you're riding along, car's handling good, running good, everything's fine. All of a sudden it takes off for the wall, and the next thing you know, you're out of control.
But, Jeff, this is when, as a crew chief, you really start interrogating that driver, especially with different track conditions. What's your car doing? What do you need? What do we need to adjust on that thing?
Yeah, and you also, Larry, you try to remind him, and I know it makes a lot of drivers mad, just be patient, slow down, let's try to smooth everything out. Let's see if we can get back in some kind of rhythm. A lot of times we talk about get that rhythm, and it'll be okay. Think about what's going on, driver, and just be smooth. And I know it sounds redundant, but that's the kind of things you have to tell a driver. Race that racetrack. Be patient. Get you some tires in about 10 laps. And you keep telling 10 laps for 30 laps, and before too long he knows he's lying to you, but you got to the end of that pit stop, and that's what matters.
That's why me and Jeff got along so good. I like the way he lied to me.
All right, Steve Park maybe got a little impatient with Rick Mast here. Maybe Mast just doesn't get a good run off the corner.
I'm not so sure. Sometime a guy's trying to get out of the way and can't.
Yeah.
And that looks like one of those deals.
This is a tough racetrack to get out of the way.
You don't just turn down to the inside. I mean, you just don't have the grip to do that. You've got to kind of anticipate what you're going to do.
Park trying to maintain his momentum and briefly got up against the back bumper of Rick Mast.
Talked about Tony Stewart a while ago. He's starting to make a little bit of a move. He's going working on Brett Bodine in the 11 car here. This is a battle for the 30th position. He's getting a little impatient.
Guess what he did? He told him he was back there. You see him giving that little nudge?
I don't want to fool with you no more.
No, I'm tired of messing with you. You're holding me up. I got to go.
Back when the cars had chrome bumpers, we used to call that
the chrome horn.
Beep, beep.
Our guys in the pits, they never quit working on what's going on. Tony Stewart, his race car is tight. It's not turning, and you have to believe that's a product of these cooler track conditions. Everybody anticipated the racetrack would be tighter today.
But look at our graphic. Tony's got to go because that's all he lacks from going a lap down to Steve Park.
And I can't tell you how many times I've been running here. I've been running 31 seconds by myself. I run up on the car trying to get by him, and I'm running 32.50. So you got to pass.
Now, don't worry about Tony. Remember last September, he started 33rd. He finished 4th.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm certainly not counting him out by any means.
There you see the leader, Steve Park, coming off turn 4. About a straightaway difference. So Tony Stewart, that's the reason he's up there bumping Brett Bodine. That spotter, that crew chief's telling him the leader's coming.
Darrell, we've talked all weekend on FX and on Fox Sports Net about how, okay, one lap for these young guns to hold their breath, but it's going to take an experienced driver to run up front here all day. Only one young gun in the top 10 in yesterday's Busch race. But how about rookie Jimmy Johnson? Started 4th, and he's running the top 5.
There we go, Park.
Oh.
Park.
Gordon gets past to Steve Park, hard in the wall.
We got the right front corner pretty good in the right side of the car.
32 car. Got damage.
Yep, Ricky Craven, the whole front of his car is stove in as Steve Park, the race leader, and Ricky Craven, the pole sitter, crash.
And he was trying to get around Stacy Compton, who was trying to stay on the lead lap in the 14 car.
Yeah, you see that the 14 car got his all torn up on the right side. He goes down here underneath him. It's hard to stay underneath a guy. You just got to have that. You need that room to slide up. Compton didn't give it to him, and he didn't do anything wrong. Not that Compton did anything wrong, but you've got to go in there low. You've got to have room to slide up.
Here's a different angle.
See, Steve's going to try to clear him and slide in front of him, but he doesn't quite get there.
Again, we want to stress, Stacy Compton was trying to get to the high side of the racetrack. He didn't do anything wrong with the 14 car.
No, that's the problem with this racetrack. There's nowhere to go. You can't get out of the way.
Oh, Jimmy Spencer just got through there.
That's when I'd be hauling at my spotter, because I'm sure the spotter told him to go high. Oh, that's a shame.
That is a shame. There you see Ricky Craven, just nowhere to go. Jeff Gordon in the 24. Jimmy Johnson going all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. Pit road will be very busy, Matt Yoakum.
Well, Larry, they're going to make a chassis adjustment on the 22 car of Warren Burton. He was lacking forward bite. As you see Mike Brown, the team's general manager, make the chassis adjustment. Another 4-tire change, obviously, because this track is so gritty here at Darlington.
Now Jeff Gordon has just found his pit. He's got nobody in front of him now. Ricky Craven would have been in front of him had he not been going to the garage area. Gordon's car tight all day. His conversation on the radio has stressed that it is getting tighter and tighter as the run went on. It'll be a 4-tire change. They're going to try to get that tight out of there, and he is the first guy out of the pits. He'll be your leader.
Steve Park is out of his car as you watch the race off pit road. That is good news. Ricky Craven has driven his car to the garage. Dick reported.
And there's no sense in telling you people at home how many tires people change here. When you come to pit road, you get 4 tires, trust me.
And in the Park incident, that's just Darlington. We're at 30-some laps into the run here, and the tires are wearing down. The car's lost some grip. He needed the room to slide up and didn't quite make it.
That's a good sight right there. A little wave to the crowd.
Steve Park is okay, but couldn't tame this track today. Pole sitter Ricky Craven is out.
Welcome back to Darlington. Steve Park was welcomed back. First race in 6 months when he was knocked out at Darlington, but came in confident with the clearance of his team and doctors. And NASCAR starting fourth. Almost goes into the wall, then took the lead on lap 19. Park leading on lap 38 between turn 3 and 4, runs into Stacy Compton, and then Ricky Craven, pole sitter, running into Steve Park. And his 2 career Winston Cup victories as he steps out of the car. He is okay, but done for the day. Ricky Craven, as they work on his car to try to get him back in the race in the last 17 races here in Darlington. Only once has the pole sitter won this race. Let's get out to Steve Burns and check in on Ricky Craven. Steve?
Thanks, Chris. Ricky, a lot of damage to this race car. What happened, and can you get back in the race today?
It's obviously not where we expected to be. We, you know, you always think about the ones that got away, and pretty frustrated. That didn't need to happen. And, you know, we just got swept into it. Really, really proud of Steve coming back, and would love to have raced him and Jeff there for the win. I had a car good enough to do it. The Tide Ford was great, but I'll tell you what, you know, the lap car has got to give consideration to leaders. You know, it's just a great example of a guy not using his head. We're leading the race. You need to give some consideration. And we'll get over it, and we'll go at them next week.
Back upstairs, Mike.
Thanks, Steve. You do damage assessment in this business with one of those DeWalt power saws. That's got quite a workout there.
$25,000 to have that body put on there. Spend hours in the wind tunnel meticulously working on it, and then just cut it off with a saber saw. Throw it in the ground.
After pit stops, Jeff Gordon leaves Elliott Sadler, along with Jimmy Johnson, Jimmy Spencer, and Jeff Green for this restart.
I like the way that 21 car, it's looked good all weekend long. Came in an ace of picking him there, Hammond, but couldn't bet against Jeffy today.
And obviously those guys doing their job on pit road, getting him up to second.
Jeff Burton peeks out from behind. Is that Bill Elliott? Yes, it is, and Burton goes on. Everybody on fresh tires. Dale Earnhardt Jr. moves in on Jeff Green. This is for 5th place.
He just keeps on keeping on. He started back in 23rd, and as we saw in the beginning of the race, he was taking a car a lap.
Well, I tell you what I noticed about his car. It is really, really fast on new tires. For about 20 laps, he can haul the mail, but then he starts to slide back.
We'll watch the tachometer here. You'll notice in the middle of the corner, he'll get back in, it'll raise RPMs, and he backs off the throttle. It falls back down a little bit, but he's turning all over 9,000 on fresh tires. Speeds a little bit quicker as we go down the front stretch.
And that's one of the things that probably the cool weather will do, is not slow the cars down quite so much, and gear selection could be really, really critical today.
And over 170 miles an hour into turn 3.
Just to give you an idea, 411 gear is kind of gear of choice here. Sometimes you'll pull a 22. Some of these cars today got 430 gears in them. That's going to really tax that engine.
And just remember, the higher number is the lower gear.
And more RPM.
From a 411 to a 430, you're probably talking about 400 RPM difference.
If you knew you only had short runs, you'd pull a much higher gear because you're going to turn more RPMs. But for the longer runs where the RPMs are going to get lower, you put that lower gear in to compensate.
Well, I always called it my passing gear. I'd pull as low a gear as I thought I could possibly get away with, so when I caught somebody, I could get around them.
We talked earlier about Jeff Green being one of those drivers to have had the advantage of running in both yesterday's Busch race and today's Cup race. Jeff Burton's another who led every lap yesterday. Let's go down to Green's pit. Here's Matt.
Mike, they lost one spot on pit road. Currently, Jeff Green's running in the 5th position. Todd, how is your race car today?
Jeff hasn't said a whole lot about it. It's been pretty good. We ran at Rockingham, and we ran pretty good at the beginning of the race, so we want to be optimistic here and hope we can carry it on to the end. But a little tight off the corner. I'll make no major changes. We'll see what happens.
Todd mentioned the fact that they ran this car at Rockingham. In fact, that car led 46 laps. We're hoping that car shows up like it did again at Rockingham today. Yeah, he looked like he was a contender to win down there. They had a motor problem there and put an end to their day.
How about the Burton brothers battling here? Jeff has the spot and Ward wants it. He's had a peek underneath his younger brother, and here he goes.
Well, these two guys here, for brother act, they're pretty good here in Darlington.
Well, when they used to race South Boston Speedway in Virginia in late models, they'd come home with 2 busted race cars. They'd race each other harder than anybody else there.
Well, they've taken turns winning here, too, so they've obviously shared notes. They got 2 totally different cars. One's in a Dodge, one's in a Ford, but they seem to run the same.
Talk about 2 guys that shared notes. How about the 2 red cars there behind Jeff Burton? Bill Elliott and Jeremy Mayfield. Both those cars continue marching toward the front.
Just watch this. That seems to be our favorite saying. Hey, just watch this.
Kyle Petty and Robbie Gordon in close quarters again.
Robbie just scoots. Kyle gets him a little loose right there. Robbie gets Kyle a little loose. Dives to the inside, but you see how much momentum means. Those guys there were laid back off of them a little bit. Got to run on them and passed them into the third turn.
Yeah, Ryan Newman and Brett Bodine were right there. Steve Park has been released from the care center. Here's Steve Burns.
Thanks, Mike. Steve, first of all, are you okay? Tell us what happened.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm glad I didn't have to spend a lot of time in this care center, like I did in the past. But, I mean, the Pennzoil car was running great. Just lap traffic all day long was giving us a hard time. And, I mean, I got on the 14 car pretty clean and gave him a break. And he turned me around. Almost got my right rear quarter panel. And I'm better than I look. I mean, I really thought we had a car today that would win the race. And, the Pennzoil Chevrolet got put out too early, just too early, I think. So this is a long race, and patience is a key role. And when you're going a lap down so early in the race, give the leader a little bit of a break. I mean, the leader will give you a break if you want to get a lap back. So it's just a shame. It's the first race back. Wanted to see it to the end, and I'm just severely disappointed in that.
Thanks, Steve.
And boy, I can feel his pain, because when you're leading the race, you do anticipate those guys giving you a break because you are the leader. But then you got to put your other hat on and look at the guy trying to stay on the lead lap. So understand both sides of the situation, but you don't need to wreck the leader.
5-time Darlington winner Jeff Gordon right now in command of the Carolina Dodge Dealers 400. Jeff Gordon, a 5-time winner here, has a 1-second lead, but in second place, driving for the Wood brothers, who have won here 8 times. Elliott Sadler, Jimmy Johnson 3rd, Jimmy Spencer 4th, Jeff Green 5th. We've had 1 caution as leader Steve Park was lapping Stacy Compton. The 2 cars got together in turn 3. Second place driver Ricky Craven was swept into this wreck. Couldn't clear it down low, and let's listen to the radio chatter from Craven.
Just got it. Come on, Ricky. Just knocked the whole front of the car off. There was nothing I could do about that, guys. He took the leader out. Go to the garage, guys. Go to the garage. Just go to the garage. Just get the sawzall, get everything ready. Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. There wasn't nothing you could do.
Craven spotter Donnie Epling frustrated because he couldn't get his driver, couldn't clear him out away from that wreck.
Well, you just hear the frustration in everybody's voice. Ricky Craven, crew chief Mike Bean, the team. You come in here 12th in points. You've had a good year. You sat on the pole. You're up there running second. And you watch it all go away in a matter of about a half a second.
And I believe, Steve Park is probably very disappointed, but I would say mission accomplished. Came back, qualified well,
raced well,
led the race. Can't help what happened.
There's Elliott Sadler coming from 7th place up to 2nd. It's been a year since he won. That was at Bristol, where we go next weekend.
Well, boys, I want to talk about our points leader, and I might add the car that Jeff Hammond picked, Sterling Marlin, again had to start at the rear of the field after having to change motors. With a little help from his guys on pit road, but a good race car, he's up to the 14th position, battling Ken Schrader right here.
Just past Kenny.
And that's for 13th.
That's 2 of the senior circuit drivers. Now, Schrader is 47. Marlin's right up there. Bill Elliott's 47. None of these drivers were born when this track was built.
How about Dale Jr. in that Budweiser car? This is a battle for fifth with Jeff Green. Jeff Green knew he was faster.
Yeah.
It's like, take the position.
Jeff got a little bit loose right there in the middle of the corner as well. Had to lift up.
And that's what Steve Park wishes Stacy Compton had done as they both went into that corner. Wish Compton had rolled out of the throttle, let Steve slide up the racetrack, and everybody goes on. And it didn't happen.
Park is, he's 100% right for what he, I think, thought was going to happen. And Compton just held his line.
Well, he was trying to stay on the lead lap, and it unfortunately was an exercise in futility and took two cars out of the race. Compton was able to repair and continue. See that yellow car coming into the picture is Ward Burton, Bill Davis's Dodge. He's now right up against Jeff Green. This is for 6th place.
And Ward is an aggressive, he's a hard driving little guy. And to run as well as he does here at Darlington, time and time again, that amazes me because he really is good at this racetrack.
Looks like on Jeff Green in the 30, they either went the wrong way with adjustments. His car just, as the racetrack's getting more and more rubber on it, his car just is not driving very good.
It's bouncing around on him right there in the middle of 1 and 2. There's some little whoopty-doos up there in the middle of that corner, and if the car's a little loose, it'll really upset it.
Not only is this racetrack rough, it's very bumpy all the way around, especially in the corners.
Yeah, they got what I call whoopty-doos. They're just little swoopy places where the car bounces a little bit, and you don't need to bounce with no grip.
You're riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. as you see Ward Burton closing in on the 5th place car. Let's go to Junior's pit and Matt.
Well, Mike Dale Earnhardt Jr. is on pace to score his best ever finish here at Darlington, which is 11th. Last fall he was 17th. Early in this run, though, today, he says his car's a little bit on the loose side. And this car actually was going to go to Bristol next week, but they put a brand new body on it. They thought the car looked so good, they decided to bring it here. And if it survives Darlington, they'll knock out all the dents, spray some Budweiser Red on it, and take it to Bristol. But just keep in mind how tough this place has been for Dale Earnhardt Jr. This is how the car looked the last time he ran here, and they wanted to remind him, think, this place is a driver's racetrack. If you think about it, they're hoping to have a good day today, but look at that. Nick?
Jeff Gordon just keyed his radio and told the crew the car is a little bit loose. That's good news for 2 reasons. First, the car has been tight. That means on that last pit stop, they've got it fixed. Second, it also means they got a radio problem fixed. They had a serious radio problem. All they had on the radio for about 2 or 3 minutes was just plain static. And you should have seen the ballet that went on down here in their pit as everybody changed channels, and they've got it all working again.
Well, Dick, Bobby Labonte is running in the 10th position in the 18 car. He told his crew chief, Jimmy Maycar, I can't get back on the gas like I want to in the center of the corner. He said, went on to apologize, saying, I can't give you the information you need to help this race car.
What does he mean by that, Darrell? That he can't give Jimmy the information that he needs?
Well, they haven't made enough pit stops, I believe, to be able to accumulate tire data and other information, and he's not giving them all the information they need right now, but they need another pit stop or 2 to be able to figure out what's going on.
You know, Darrell, as I listened to the report on Jeff Gordon in the 24, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8, saying their car's a little loose. If I'm the crew chief and you're a little loose here, as long as you're fast and can maintain the same speed, I'm going to be very hesitant to tighten that race car up and make it start pushing, because this racetrack will just get tighter and tighter.
Yeah, well, drivers, are notorious for wanting the car to be perfect.
And will over-adjust.
That's right.
Jeff Gordon by 1.8 seconds leads Elliott Sadler, Jimmy Johnson, Jimmy Spencer, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. here at Darlington. Jeff Gordon leading at Darlington by 1 second over Elliott Sadler. Today's KFC track facts. This is the 98th Winston Cup race here. Johnny Mance won the first Southern 500 in 1950. Bill France Sr. was one of 4 owners of that car, along with Curtis Turner. They wanted to expand the track, but there was no room on the front stretch, so they turned it around. What was the front stretch is now the back stretch, and they knocked down the backstretch stands and built the area where we are today.
That's how old this joint is. They ran it for 50 years one way, now they're going to run it 50 years for the other way.
That's our track fact. There's fast food, and then there's KFC.
Oh, you take a K and an E and an N and a T and a U and a CKY. That spells Kentucky, but it means paradise.
Here's a battle for third right here. Jimmy Spencer in the 41. Jimmy Johnson in that 48 Lowe's car. Spencer, Darrell, he's always ran pretty well here.
Had a good run here last year.
Yeah, the fastest driver on the track is right behind these two. Ward Burton just cleared Jeff Green, and there's Burton. He's coming on that bunch.
Well, he is. But I think it would show something to me if the 48 car and the 24 car are teammates. They run like teammates. What does that say about the 5 and the 25?
Who are members of the same team.
Same team who run like teammates. I believe if I was in that deal, I'd be wanting to get on the 24 and 48 team side of everything.
It's the other side of the stream or the team. Matt.
Well, Mike, an update down here from the 30, but you heard Jeff Green's crew chief Todd Barrier say a few laps ago that their car was tight earlier in the race, and it is still tight even after that air pressure change. He's tight on entry, DW, and he's tight off.
12th place. Kenny Schrader slips and slides up in front of Kevin Harvick, and here comes Dale Jarrett, last year's winner.
That little bobber, and you got to get out of the throttle, and when you do, it just opens the door for someone like Dale Jarrett, who was in the right place at the right time.
And you know, as I look at Dale Jarrett, I talked to Todd Parrott and Jimmy Elliott this morning. They've been running a lot of their in-house chassis. They decided to bring a much older car here that's a Hopkins, a store-bought chassis, just to see if maybe they've been off base a little bit with their in-house chassis.
I can't tell you, Larry, how many times has that happened?
Many times.
You're doing your own deal, and you say, we're just not getting it done. We got to go back to the basics. And a basic car is either a Hopkins or a Laughlin. That's something a driver can relate to.
Whoa! Kevin Harvick. I'm sorry, Darrell.
It's okay.
These fellas will come off that corner and take your breath. You could read the whole right side of Harvick's car as he came off the corner, and we were looking straight at the nose.
You know, here's Matt Kenseth in the 17 car, of course, won the race at Rockingham in this very car. He started back in 34th. He's up to 17th. I talked to Robbie Reiser, his crew chief, this morning. I said, how are you, man? He said, I don't understand it. He said, you know, we have tried our Rockingham setup. We've tried the setup that we ran well with here a year ago. It's not working. They were on the 4 springs, 4-shock sway bar change this morning. Changed almost every piece of that race car.
Well, that's when I go around on Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and I get all the information I get, and I come back to my crew chief Sunday morning, and I say, look, here's what so-and-so's doing, and here's what so-and-so's doing, and here's what they're doing, and I take all that information, and I say, here's what we're going to do.
You go to that motor coach lot.
That's right. We have a meet.
Here's Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Green. They've gone past the 4. Mike Skinner has gone a lap down, and Ward Burton has already passed this group. Ward is up to 4th place. And moving toward the front, as you see on Fox Track, that's the interval from Jeff Gordon back to Ward in 4th.
Yeah, well, he's visibly closing that gap down.
Slowly but surely, I've been watching the lap times. For most laps, they've been running pretty close to each other. Jeff Gordon, the leader, and Ward Burton. But you see it just ever so slightly creeping down. He's closing in. A bunch in the middle of the corner. He really went through the middle of the corner right there. You saw that interval jump a bunch.
Yeah, inch by inch, step by step.
And Darrell, that's not entry speed here. That's picking up the throttle sooner than somebody else is.
And then here's Gordon, our leader, that's caught up in some heavy traffic.
And that will knock a bunch of time out of your lap time.
You can be held up as much as a second a lap. You can have a huge lead and just have to sit there and wait.
2 of the Petty cars just in front of Gordon.
See the 21 car, he comes from nowhere because Gordon can't go. And he knows, unlike, what happened earlier, he's going to get underneath that car, but he's going to wait till that car goes all the way up against the outside wall.
All right, you're riding with Elliott Sadler, 2nd place car, underneath Casey Atwood.
Now,
Clear.
Here you see the telemetry on Elliott Sadler, the 2nd place car. See those RPMs? You can hear it. It goes with the throttle. You back off the throttle, the RPMs up here, they go down. Roll out that throttle. Way down here, down at that end of the racetrack, turn 3 and 4, much tighter end of the racetrack. Driving that car with that throttle pedal.
Sadler clears John Andretti on the high side as Jeff Gordon tries to put a lap on Kyle Petty. That's the way they run here at Darlington. Jeff Gordon leads by 1.8 seconds over Elliott Sadler. You watch Sterling Marlin there, just ahead of Jeremy Mayfield. Marlin moving up into the top 10 at 9th place. There is the lead gap. Gordon back to Elliott Sadler.
Okay, Larry, how much longer are you going to keep me out here? I'm getting a little nervous.
I'm here figuring right now. Jeff Hammond, it's one of those deals, you know, we documented you can run about 65 laps on fuel. They were on pit road at lap 38, somewhere around lap 100 to 105. But Jeff, the whole deal,
31
got trouble off turn 4.
Robbie Gordon, a lot of
tire smoke. Tire smoke. Now he's got a tire down.
Well, he hit the wall earlier, and they tried to keep him out there for a while before they pitted the car. But
caution is on the speedway.
You know what he's done? He's broken the rear track bar. His rear end is wobbling all over the place.
Yes, he has, and that's probably a product from going up and hitting the wall.
Smacked that fence.
John Andretti smacked the wall twice, had to make an unscheduled green flag pit stop. Shauna Robinson has been into the wall twice, and that car has been retired. And now here, let's see Robbie Gordon's first collision with the concrete.
Harry, there's one of your bilge pumps.
Brake blower.
Brake blower.
Here's the first one, Darrell.
Back end hops out. Bam!
And there's no kidding. You hit the wall that hard, you've probably broke that track bar, man.
Well, he didn't break it that time. He just wounded it. This time, he's going to take it on out. Bam! She came out that time.
There's a lot of cars. They needed this pit stop right here. Everybody
there was guys that were so close to going a lap down. Good guys.
Jeff Burton in the 99 thought he had a tire going down. He wasn't far from going a lap down. Pit road is open.
That's the key a lot of times. The key a lot of times is if you can just stay on that lead lap till you get about 2/3 or halfway through the race.
Matt?
Mike, Tommy Baldwin Jr. and Tommy Wallace going to work on the right side. No adjustments for Ward Burton's double deuce. They felt their car was very good on that long run today.
Burton's on his way down pit road for one of the pit stops in which he is, as always, going to take 4 tires. Greg Corione from Sanborn, New York, carrying front tires. Todd Gant's going to change the front tire. To Steve.
Well, Jimmy Spencer getting service. A half round down on that track bar. 4 tires for Jimmy Spencer. He's down pit road ahead of Ward Burton.
A long pit road. Here comes Spencer. Will he beat Gordon out? No. It's going to be Jeff Gordon, Elliott Sadler, and Spencer. The first 3 off. Ward Burton will come out 4th.
Well, Spencer had a whale of a pit stop there. I mean, he moved up.
But you know what I like about his pit position, even though these are big pit boxes, he has an opening behind him. Nobody has to drive around.
Come right into his pit box.
His pits is back up here, and there's an opening just like there is right here, and that way you don't have nobody to block you coming in.
Yeah, it's where you go into the garage, and that opening is that's the opening at the end of pit road right there.
Let's ride with Robbie Gordon. We'll show you what it's like here when you dance with the lady in black.
You don't have full test on my train. Got a problem with making all kinds of noise. Make sure you drive down the other thing.
We're under the second caution of the day at Darlington.
Turning this opening right here, Robbie, on pit road.
On this round of pit stops, Jeremy Mayfield penalized 15 seconds for not having a catch can man in place when they started fueling, so he lost 14 spots on this exchange. Tony Stewart gained 5 spots with his pit stops. That fellow wants us to crank it up. All right, we're back under green.
Jimmy Spencer, that 41, he is driving that race car right now. Kind of expected him to run good here. This is the same car he had at Rockingham. He was very competitive with till the ignition box went out.
Here he goes. This is what we saw from Spencer yesterday in the Busch race. On every restart, Jimmy would run hard for the first 5 or 10 laps, picking up spots, challenging for the lead.
And sometimes that's good, Darrell, but you get the goodie out of your tire. You use up too much tire in the beginning.
I know y'all always, oh man, he is driving, look at it, sliding that thing off the corner. But you always say, save your tires. Save your tires. You can't save tires.
No, not here.
There's no way to save tires in
Just
a race.
don't save them, just don't abuse them.
Well, but now Spencer was abusing his off of 2 over there. He had the thing in a 4-wheel slide, crossed up.
Darrell, compare the lines here between Spencer and Gordon.
Well, there's a preferred line, and that's the one that Gordon is in. The only way that Jimmy's going to get by him is get the nose down under him, and usually think you'll push up off of 2 when you do that. Now, you come down here, if you wanted to, you could try to drive underneath of him right here, but you got to be sure you got the grip to do it with. Now, you bog the car down. Spencer's coming out of there. That lower line, you bog the car down, Gordon's going to beat you up out of the hole.
Just to give you an idea, these guys were running like 30-18, 30-20 before that pit stop on 40, 50 lap tires. They were running 32, 40s, and 50s.
And more on the leader, Dick Bergman.
Well, Jeff Gordon had another quick pit stop. Came in first, went out first. Very slight adjustment on the chassis. He's got a great race car today.
Now, Darrell, if you're Jeff Gordon, are you distracted by Spencer gnawing at your bumper there?
Quite honestly, I'm surprised that Jeff is racing Spencer as hard as he is. Spencer is a hard racer. We all know that. I think as long as he doesn't get up there and start bumping around on Jeff, Jeff will probably try to get away from him. But he ain't going to put up with much of that Jimmy Spencer stuff coming up there and roughing him up.
All right, Robbie Gordon is in the garage. Here's Steve.
Thanks, Mike. There's about 14 different mechanics working on the 31 car of Robbie Gordon. Big problems that have to replace the drive shaft. What happened, Robbie?
I got the wall a couple laps earlier, and I don't know, just went into turn 3 and just stepped out on me really big. It's unfortunate, I tried to talk myself into liking this place, and every time I come here, I just don't like it. So, it's a tough racetrack. I watched an interview with Dale Jr., and he said he hated the place also, but he said he's going to talk himself into liking it. I said, you know what, I'm going to go in there with that same attitude. You know what, I still don't like this place.
All right, we'll let him get back to work. Also, guys, just a note, Bobby Labonte, they went up 2 rounds on the track bar, 2 rounds of wedge out, and pulled a spring rubber out of the right rear.
Oh, man, go ahead.
For DW, an update down here at the 8th and Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2 great stops today at 13.81 and at 13.80. A few comments from Dale Jr. He said that the car was driving off turn 2 like a limo on an ice rink. Then somebody chimed in like he's done that a lot. But they did make a track bar adjustment, went down half a round to try to tighten up that number 8 machine. Then he said, how many laps are in this race? And somebody said 393. He's like, oh man, you're killing me. I've got to go 300 more laps. I go, no, 293. He goes, oh, thank goodness.
They can handle like that Zamboni he drove in that Olympics promo.
You know, for 2 or 3 days, you're in denial here. Everybody, you go around saying, no, it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad. And then you get in the race.
See how tight they run, and this track looks too narrow to pass on. Sometimes it is.
Well, that's why they get down on the apron. I mean, we run on the apron here a lot, trying to pass people. Going into 3, going into 1, you'll always have the left side wheels down on the apron.
After a particularly frustrating day here, Kyle Petty once said they should fill this place with water and stock it with fish.
Everybody has a favorite thing they like to say about Darlington. Some we can repeat and some we can't.
You saw Ricky Rudd make the pass, the most experienced driver here. This is his 51st start at Darlington in the Winston Cup car. And later this season, he will hopes to break Terry Labonte's record for consecutive Winston Cup race starts. Now here comes Harvick right back after him.
2 distinct different lines right there. Ricky Rudd on the high side, Kevin Harvick in the 29 on the bottom.
And what happened? What can happen to you? You go in, you're leading a guy. You're running a good line. All of a sudden, your car pushes up. You got to get out of the throttle. That guy gets a run on you and passes you. And you know you're faster than he is, so you go right back and pass him back.
Whoa, Johnny Benson just had a toss and catch it there coming off the corner. Here's Jimmy Johnson, 7th place.
Now, a guy that you won't hear us say a word about hardly all day is that guy in that red car. But at the end of the day, he will be up in the top 5 or 6.
$1 million bill. Bill Elliott won the first Winston Million here in 1985.
He has an understanding of this racetrack, and he knows how far to push it and knows when to hold it.
unless he gets caught up in a wreck, his car will probably not have a scratch on it at the end of the day.
He does not want a Darlington stripe.
Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Spencer are separated by just a quarter of a second, with Elliott Sadler's Ford in third and Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Chevrolet in fourth.
Fox welcomes you back to Darlington with Jeff Gordon, your leader over Jimmy Spencer through 110 laps. How about the points leaders coming in? 1-2, Sterling Marlin and Ryan Newman had to start way back at the back of the pack, and they are making some moves.
Yes, they are. We see Sterling right here. That experience, as Darrell talks about all the time, starting dead last, has worked his car all up to fourth place. Now all of that is kind of like, a wash. He's back on track where he needs to be. But my hat's really off to the 12 car and that Alltel team of Ryan Newman's, because this was a brand new race car. So they're actually doing a little bit of combination racing and testing, and they've done an excellent job of working the problems out, bugs, and making that car competitive today. And Ryan has really, showed a lot of composure and a lot of patience of racing the racetrack and giving these guys a chance to work on his car where he can have a good finish today and maintain that second place in points.
And Newman looking for his first Winston Cup career victory, and Sterling Marlin hoping in the long haul for his first Winston Cup points championship. Let's go back upstairs. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Walker.
Newman is in the middle of the three rookies in the race. Shauna Robinson's car is already loaded on the truck. And let's remind you that Newman crashed in the last minute of practice yesterday, but because of a cut tire, not from overdriving this racetrack. Jimmy Johnson continues to impress. He's up there in the 8th spot.
We need to document that our pole sitter, Ricky Craven, is back in the race 88 laps down. Dale Jarrett, an 88 car, he's got problems. And I see smoke.
Blew up.
And this is what happened to Jeff Gordon here last year. Gordon led a bunch of laps, but he led the first 47 of the laps, but ended up 40th in the race due to an engine.
And should it be an engine failure, remember, 3 races ago at Rockingham, he blew up.
I don't know. I just felt it start tightening up, and I looked down, the oil pressure was gone.
If memory serves me right, that's the same comment we heard at Rockingham. No oil pressure, motor started tightening up, so 2 out of 5 races looks like Dale Jarrett has lost an engine.
Larry, another guy that came in running in the top 10 there a while ago when they had those round of pit stops was Rusty Wallace, and he's now back in 26th position. And I understand that they worked on the car. They put a spring rubber in somewhere. Like I do, if you work on that race car on a pit stop, you're going to lose a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, a spring rubber's a good adjustment, but I want to try a lot of other adjustments I can do a lot quicker than that, like wedge or track bar, things like that. It takes a long time to put a spring rubber in, and we'll kind of show you what they've done here on one of our animations. Car comes in the pits. We're going to show you what happens if you put one in the right rear. You have to jack it up just like a normal tire change. There you see the spring right there. The red thing is a spring rubber. That's pulling it out. You can pull it out a lot quicker.
You need to pull them out. You don't need to be putting them in.
Putting it in takes a lot longer. Increases the rate of that spring probably in the rear 15, 20 pounds. And if they did do it in the right rear like we've done right here, it will make the car turn better on the exit of the corner, stiffens that right rear corner.
Now, if you do that in the front, the rear is fairly easy. But if you try to get down in there with all the shock absorbers and everything else on the front, that's where you run into a problem.
And all the heat.
And that's where they tried to put one, in the right front.
The hope in Dale Jarrett's pit is that he just threw the oil pump belt. That's why the car lost oil pressure and the motor started to tighten, but he continues to sit in the pits with the hood up. So apparently the problem is more serious.
Yeah, even if he lost the belt, when he said no pressure, he's lost the engine.
Well, these cars have an external oil pump. It's on the outside of the engine, and it has a belt that's driven off the crankshaft. And a lot of times, especially at a place like this where you have so much tire rubber, it'll get up there and it'll cake in, make that belt too tight, and the belt will actually break.
Yeah, it's a clock belt. It's got teeth on it. It's rubber. And the rubber off the tires will get up under there and knock it off the pump.
Jeff Gordon works past Stacy Compton for the second time.
Now, I think if you look back, you'll see how far Jimmy Spencer has fallen back. Jimmy abused his car trying to stay with Jeff. That's what I figured. I thought Jeff was probably thinking, if I can stay in front of Spencer for 8, 10 laps here, I'll get away from him.
In his last 13 starts here, Gordon has 5 wins and 10 top 5 finishes. He's now led over 1,000 laps here. in his last dozen or so races.
On your car when you can.
Sterling Marlin in that 40 car, he continues to march toward the front. This is a pass for third position. Started dead last after changing that engine. You got to tip your hat. They've got a good race car.
What bothers me, I'm going to talk to Sterling. He looks like he's not working very hard in there. Did you notice that shot we had him? He's just kind of like, this is Darlington, man. He's supposed to be fighting that wheel. He was just smooth as silk.
Dale Jarrett's car did, Darrell, lose an oil pump belt, and it did too much damage to the internally to the engine. They're headed for the garage.
Well, remember, once that oil pump stops turning, he immediately loses oil pressure. You can't hardly catch it that quick and shut the engine off without causing damage.
Now, all the race cars I ever drove had a great big old red light on the dashboard. And when that oil pressure went down, that red light came on. Now, I don't know if they have that light or not, but that's how we would catch it sometimes.
How about this race car right here, Tony Stewart? It wasn't too many laps ago. We were talking about him starting 36 and only gaining a couple positions. He has moved up into the 9th position, but he gained 5 spots on that pit stop a while ago.
That's what we're saying is a very, very timely pit stop, a very, very timely caution for a number of guys. Him and he's one of them.
How about Kurt Busch right behind him?
Now that little guy,
more season he's having.
Let me tell you, that little guy runs good here. Last year here, he was on pole and ran a bunch of the race.
You know, it was ironic. I talked to Jimmy Finning this morning. This is actually the same car they set on the pole and led a lot of that race. Jimmy, once again, a lot like Robbie Reiser, Matt Kentz's crew chief, said the setup from the Southern 500 in August is not working. We've had to completely change the setup. And the thing that's confusing these guys, this is the same tire combination that Goodyear ran here both races last year, so you would tend to think the setup would at least be a tunable setup.
Let's get an update on Dale Jarrett from Matt.
Well, Mike, you were speculating about the oil pump out on Dale Jarrett's Ford. That's exactly what broke. Roy Gillian opened the hood, and this is what they found. The oil pump belt was broken in half. And that's going to end the day for Dale Jarrett. To Jeff Hammond. Jeff?
Matt, just so everybody at home understands, right here is the oil pump belt on the front of our engine right here. And what it does is drive this pump. It actually makes the oil circulate from down inside of the engine, back to the oil tank, back into the engine. So whenever you lose this belt, all the oil pumping system ceases to work. And when that happens, no oil in the bearings, before too long, your engine's done, your day is done. Mike?
Thanks, Jeff. We watched Jeff Gordon open up a lead of 1.6 seconds now on Jimmy Spencer, Sterling Marlin, Elliott Sadler, and Ward Burton.
Just a little more information. That's a dry sump system is what you call it. And the oil is held externally outside of the engine, unlike a passenger car that has an oil pan. Did I tell that right there?
Absolutely. Took the words right out of my mouth. Kurt Busch, he's all over Tony Stewart right here. This would be a battle for the 8th position. Kurt Busch in the 97 car.
Yep, they passed Bill Elliott, running right there in their tire tracks. And they're closing up on Jimmy Johnson.
Now, Jimmy's been sliding back just a little bit. Dale Jr. got around him a lap or so ago.
Ricky Craven, who had been running a minus front-end sheet metal, takes his wounded car back to the garage, and the pole sitter will be out of the race.
Jeff Burton in that 99 car. Remember, we thought he had a flat tire a while ago. He's back in 23rd position, just hanging on by his fingernails on that lead lap.
Yesterday, 18 cars fell out of the Busch race, and that's a record. This track is tough. Jeff Gordon, 1.6 seconds up on Jimmy Spencer, then Sterling Marlin, Elliott Sadler, Ward Burton.
Ward just passed Elliott down here in 3 and 4.
So that will change 4th place.
Oh, trouble over there on the back straightaway. Who is it? It's a 19 car.
Jeremy Mayfield.
And he saves it.
Well, he hit the outside wall once already.
Caution is on the speedway.
But he saved that from being a multi-car crash.
Yeah. The 23 car got in there. You see where it got in the left rear right there. The 23 car turned him, got him up in the fence. Got people racing back here. There goes Nemechek, and 30 didn't quite make it.
3rd caution of the day. And it comes out for Jeremy Mayfield.
Here's turn 2.
Oops.
Hut Strickland in the 23 coming up off turn 2. Almost the same thing we saw with Steve Park, but at the other end of the racetrack earlier.
You know, Jeremy was leading this race here a year or two ago and had a huge lead, and the same thing happened to him off turn 2 over there.
There's another look.
And trust me, folks, these guys, they're not driving into the side of each other on purpose. It's just the nature of this racetrack.
Knowledge. You got to know when you can put that nose up there and when you can't.
Around she goes.
And both those drivers will have a lot more knowledge about what to do next time they come here. Maybe next time Jeremy will lift up and let 23 car go by. Maybe next time 23 car won't try to pass it.
Pit road is open and busy again for 4 tires. Matt Yoakum.
Ward Burton slides to a stop. There he came on the radio, so the car is pushy loose. They're going to make a wedge adjustment, and they call back, so let's go the other way on the wedge. So this will be a 4-tire change. Let's go up pit road.
Well, Matt, Jimmy Spencer's in. They're not going to make any chassis adjustments to this number 41 Dodge. He said, I won't work the tires as hard on this run. Darren Wolf is the front tire changer. Mark Olson on the rear tires. And Spencer's service is done to Dick Bergeron.
Gordon is in the midst of a 4-tire change on car number 24. This car is so good, they are going to replace the tires with the same air pressure they had. No adjustment. He will be first out of pit road again.
Ward Burton, boy, he gets an attaboy. If Burton hadn't lifted to allow Spencer to come up into that outside lane, they would have collected Sterling Marlin as Marlin came out of his pit. Marlin and Spencer would both be done. So there's my hero of the moment right there. That just averted disaster. It is so hard trying to get off this pit road, maintain the speed limit, get out of your pit, get in line in a hurry. Close quarters here at Darlington.
All right, guys, this is where it's won and lost right here. I know it's early in the race. Jeff Gordon at 24 bunts. That's what they're supposed to do. But look at this group right here. Comes in 6th, go out 2nd. That just makes that driver feel so good to know his crew did that for him.
Yeah, he's pretty good on new tires. I mean, he runs like crazy for about 10, 15 laps, and he starts to slide back. But he's going to give Jeff Gordon a run for his money right now.
Tony Stewart right there. That's another one. They did their job. Comes in 9th, 7th. Those guys been picking him up positions all day long in the pits as we're ready to go green.
Third caution period of the day cleaned up.
Ready and green.
Mike Skinner's going to try to race Gordon down in there, but he let him go. Slid up. He's going to give Gordon. He's going to give Junior some room there.
Oh, Elliott Satter's got a run. Almost got in the back of Spencer there.
I think that's the 4 car kind of caused him to break his momentum a little bit and gave Elliott a run on him.
Jimmy Spencer jumped up back in the gas. Looked like he had to get on the brake in the middle of the corner to keep from hitting Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Now, in the last restart, Spencer ran the first 10 or 12 laps really hard, trying to take the lead from Jeff Gordon. And then he slid back a bit. Let's see how Spencer works on this restart.
Boy, Gordon must have a whale of a car today, guys, because he just drove. Look at that. In one lap, he just drove off and left everybody.
Jimmy Spencer doing what he's done right after every pit stop, right down on the bottom of that racetrack. But, Darrell, I think that abuses those tires down there digging on the bottom.
Well, and it bogs the car down so badly. You come up off that corner where the wheels turn hard left, and he just kills the horsepower.
Watch 99 Jeff Burton and 23 Hut Strickland on this restart. Pow!
Wow, that was on the restart. Jeff Burton trying to get up to the top of the racetrack because that's where you need to enter turn 1.
Had bad timing.
Yes. All right, Gordon leads by 1.2 seconds. He's opened up a big lead in a hurry, Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to hold on to that second position. And Tony Eury Jr., his cousin in car chief. You guys have battled your way into this, Tony.
Yeah, we're having a pretty good day today. Junior's really driving a nice race. We made a couple of chassis adjustments last night. We thought would help out. And the car's just a little bit off of what Gordon is right now. We just told Dale Jr. we ain't never been in this position here, so we just told him to run his race, and we'll see if we come out with a top 5.
Remember, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has never scored a top 10 finish in a listed cup car here in Darlington. Just be firm.
Well, Matt, Jimmy Spencer likes his race car. They made no chassis adjustments on the last stop. They did go a half pound down mistakes. I'm having just a little bit of a Corpus effect in turn 2. Dick Berggren.
In 1996, Elliott Sadler came to NASCAR's big league in the Busch Series. He had a volunteer crew, 1 car, 1 motor. Today, he is a legitimate contender with a shot to win here at Darlington. The car was loose everywhere on the speedway. He radioed in and told the crew, do what you need to do. They changed the track bar. They shut him out 4th. He had come in 5th. Have a good day.
And Darrell, what they did to Jimmy Spencer, I know a half a pound of air don't sound like much, but the softer you can get the spring rate of the car here, the better it's going to grip the racetrack, where you can't change springs, but as you take air pressure out of those tires, that softens the spring rate. What you want to do, you don't want to take so much air out that the car really worms around on low air pressure right after a pit stop on the start of a green flag run.
Well, I think that a half pound tells you what a fine line you're walking between being really, really good or going all the way out of the ballpark.
Jimmy Spencer's lap times right now identical to Jeff Gordon's, but Gordon scooted away on that restart and built up a 1.7 second lead.
Guess what? If Jimmy Spencer speeds up, Jeff Gordon will speed up. He just seems to have it going that way today.
Gordon's owner, Rick Hendrick, with 7 victories here at Darlington. Among active owners, trails only the Wood brothers and Richard Childress, who've each won here 8 times.
We look at our Fox tracks here. This is the interval between Jimmy Spencer and second. Jeff Gordon leading the race right now, holding at about 1.9 seconds. That pretty much backs up that they're running the same lap times right now, about a 38. Pretty even all the way around the racetrack. Right in there, 1.9.
Yeah, and those times will fall off as they go along here. Pretty soon they'll be running 32.80. So we drop off about 2 seconds in the period of a run.
Actually, that lap, Jeff Gordon ran 30.77. Spencer run 30.90, about a 1/10.5 difference.
And you know, down there in the garage or in the pits, you don't see that so much. But standing up here, boy, you see 2/10 in a hurry.
I'll tell you, the guy that just keeps marching on started back in 36th position, Tony Stewart. There he is in that 20 car. These guys keep picking him up positions on pit road, but he's got a good race car, Matt Yoakum.
He certainly does, Larry, and especially to make it all the way back from 36. 2 stops ago, they made an air pressure adjustment and a track bar adjustment to help with the forward bite, and it has helped. Tony reported in, though, that after that lap 91 pit stop at lap 127, it started to give up. So they made a wedge adjustment on this last stop. Tony told me on Friday that he's won a Daytona and a Budweiser shootout. He won a 500-lap at Bristol in the night race, but he would love to have a Darlington victory on his racing resume. This is a special place for drivers.
Now, forward bite's not something that your dentist can fix for you. What that is when you go to put the throttle down, the rear wheels won't hook up, and you have to keep pedaling that throttle pedal until you can get that forward bite, or the car gets grip up off the corner with the rear tires.
Jerry Nadeau and Mark Martin.
Mark Martin, you know, he came in here 4th in points. He has 3 top 10s this year. You know, he's just quietly back there doing his job right now. But you know what? Mark Martin pretty much owned this place in the Busch Series, won 8 races here, and he's all the way up to 15th position after starting in 31st.
All right, we've just taken the crossed flags, which indicate halfway in the Carolina Dodge Dealers 400. Here's our Coors Light halfway recap. Ricky Craven started out on the pole, but got swept up in a wreck when Steve Park crashed while trying to lap Stacy Compton. Jeff Gordon took over the lead and has led every lap since. So we're at lap 149, just past the halfway point.
Had a car coming down pit road, looked like a 30 car in the back end.
Jeff Green.
Having a pretty good go of it there for a while, but something's happened to his car because he's made a couple of unscheduled stops.
See a routine 4-tire change. Matt Yoakum.
Well, Larry, the problem for the 30 team, 2 stops ago when he pitted, he left, he lost 5 spots on pit road, but then the problems really started in. He said, I've got a vibration. We finally had to come back in. They found out they had loose lugs on the left rear, and that has just started the problems for Jeff Green. Now they've got some other problems. They're looking at the studs. They're going to replace a stud. But boy, a tough day for Jeff Green.
And with the loose lug nuts, it probably just wallowed the threads off of one of the lug studs. And NASCAR says you have to have 5 lug nuts, which means you have to have 5 good lug studs.
Jeff Gordon's lead over Jimmy Spencer now 2.3 seconds. You're at Darlington watching NASCAR on Fox. Jeff Gordon.
We're going to give you
3.2 seconds.
Next week, boys, I'm telling you, I'll have to hold my hand. I'll be a little edgy.
Jimmy Spencer, Earnhardt Jr., Sadler, and Marlin are your top 5. 2 Chevys, a Ford, and 2 Dodges.
This is one of those, oh, by the way, Jeff Gordon's leading the race. I don't know where he is. He done left everybody behind.
Darrell, I believe Jimmy Spencer learned a lesson this time before this. He knows he overdrove that race car and abused those tires, and he settled down a little bit. Started looking like he wanted to do it there at the beginning of this run, but kind of settled down.
Sterling Marlin up to 5th. He passed Ward Burton. Here's a look at it.
A couple of Dodges racing each other. Now that's smart Darlington racing right there. Sterling's faster. Ward lifted on the straightaway. Let Sterling go.
Cannot run side by side. You can, but you're going to be 2 seconds
well,
slow.
You see the smart guys. They do it all day long. They lift on the straightaway, let you pass them before you get to the corner.
Jimmy Spencer riding second. Let's go down to his pit. Steve.
Michael Crew Chief Doug Randolph. Doug, is there any adjustment you can make to this car in the closing part of it to catch that 24?
Well, this Target Dodge is running really good today. Gordon's almost up. We're making some slight adjustments, trying to make the car last for a long run. There's a lot of races left. We might have something for him at the end.
And good luck to Tony Craven.
The last time we saw David Bryant, he was leaving Rockingham Speedway on the back of a gurney, a front tire carrier for car number 48. He was struck on pit road, broke his ankle, broke his leg. How you doing, bud?
Doing pretty good. A whole lot better than a couple weeks ago. Just like to thank everybody at Hendrick Motorsports and Lowe's, and especially all the fans for the support.
Glad to see you back. To Matty.
Well, Dick, Ward Burton has dropped to 6, and DW was talking about how he let the 40 car go. Reason being, Ward came on the radio, so the car just will not turn in the center of the corner. Whatever you did on the last stop, put it back.
Let's pick up the 3rd place battle just ahead of Ward. Earnhardt Jr. with Elliott Sadler, and Sterling Marlin is there.
I mean, I've been watching the monitor, 31.57. That's what Sterling's been running. That's about 3/10 quicker than Jeff Gordon's out there running leading this thing.
But you know what, Larry, the thing about Gordon's car is it's good on the restarts, it's good on the short run, and it's also very, very good on the long run. So he's got the best of both worlds right now.
Whoa.
These other guys seem to be back and forth.
Here comes Jeff Green. Remember, he's on fresh tires after that unscheduled green flag pit stop.
No substitute for fresh tires. They lost about 6 additional laps under Green changing those lug studs.
There is the gap. Sterling Marlin to our leader, Jeff Gordon. Pretty constant right there at 4.5 seconds. That's coming down a few hundredths here and there.
Well, I always like to use the start-finish line as my point of reference. Now, here comes Jeff off of turn 4. He's at the start-finish line now, and Sterling's coming off of turn 4 now, so that's how far behind Sterling is.
That's how you let the driver know
That's how you let the driver know what's going on. Leader's at the line now, and then the driver knows where he is, because a couple of 3 seconds doesn't mean a whole lot to a race car driver, except he's slow.
Tell Jimmy Spencer, Earnhardt Jr.'s there now.
Exactly.
Right now.
Yeah, don't look back, but... And Junior's car has gotten better. They've done made some good adjustments on that car, because he was sliding back after several laps. He looks like a little more consistent. Here comes a 40 car. He's just going by Spencer. Spencer, I believe, let him go by.
The junior tucked in behind Jeff Green, who's on those 4 fresh tires.
Elliott Sadler's going to go by Spencer. I guess Spencer's going to follow the back of this pack and ride a little bit.
Just remember, Sterling Marlin's Jimmy Spencer's teammate. The last thing Jimmy wants to do is hold up his teammate Sterling if he's that much faster than he is.
Now, Gordon is going to start catching up to the back of some of these, the field, actually. And he's going to have to start working traffic. That could play into the hands of these guys running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Because even when you got a good race car here, you don't just drive by people.
Now, Darrell, we saw Junior go into that turn and tuck the left front down on the flat on purpose, not because there was another car there. He just drove it down and then slid up.
Well, there's a little grip down there for you, and plus you get that left front fender. If you're following somebody, you want that left front fender down there in clean air. But mainly you want that left front tire down there digging on that flat.
If you can get a little bit of air on that left front corner, that helps the front downforce and help that thing to turn when you're following someone when you've lost all your front downforce.
Sterling Marlin started last. After an engine change following yesterday's final practice, he has marched his way into the front three. It's Jeff Gordon by 4.4 seconds over Dale Earnhardt Jr., then Marlin, Sadler, and Spencer. Jeff Gordon's lead has become 2 seconds longer, and here's why. There's been quite a skirmish for second place.
They get it loose.
It's lacking forward bite.
Just gets to pushing off that corner. Driver turns the wheels to the left, and all of a sudden the front end digs in and the back end comes around.
And we heard Ward Burton talk earlier about his car being pushy loose. That's exactly what he's talking about. You go in the corner, it won't turn in the middle. Finally, you slow the speed of the car down enough the front wheels bite, but the rear wheels break loose.
Exactly.
So Sterling Marlin moves to second, and Elliott Sadler follows him through to third place.
And one of the reasons that Jeff extended his lead a little bit was that Sterling had to pass that 14 car, and it cost him almost a second. He slowed down from a 31.7 to a 32.5 in that one lap.
So Earnhardt Jr. falls to fourth. Spencer is fifth. Ward Burton, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, and Kurt Busch, the top 10.
Car's pretty well strung out all the way around the speedway right now. Not a whole lot of racing going on. Everybody's doing what we said, racing the track right now.
Marlin holding about 4.6 seconds off the lead.
And the thing that you don't know about the front 4 or 5 guys, just how hard are they running? How hard is Jeff Gordon running right now? And how hard is Sterling running trying to catch him? This is a point in the race where you just, what I like to call logging laps, because you want to get some laps in the books, get down near the end of this thing, then make your plays.
One driver's having a pretty good day is Buckshot Jones. He's the only one of the 3 Petty cars currently running on the lead lap. He's been running in the top 20 most of the day, had a 12th in Atlanta, but he's going to pick up his best career finish here today.
Yeah, his best friend was that caution flag a little earlier in the race. He was just about to get lapped on both cautions when the caution came out. He was just about to get lapped by the leader.
Tony Stewart against Jimmy Johnson, who just, Jimmy again, Darrell just pulled over in the straightaway and let him go.
Well, if you've been racing here very long, and Jimmy Johnson hadn't, but you know that you pull down on the straightaway or back off on the straightaway and let the guy that's faster than you by, so you don't race into the corner side by side, because that's a disaster. That's ingredients for disaster when you race in the corner side by side here. Just like we saw what happened to Park first in the race.
Okay, I'm going to have to go down to the hotel and get my crew chief buddy in on this conversation, because this race looks like it has a little bit of a green flag flavor to it now. But Jeff, the guys are on pit road at 133, lap 133, which is 160 laps to go. That's shy of being able to do it on one stop. So my question to you would be now, and I'll follow up, are you going to try to just break it up into about 3 53 or 54 lap runs, or are you going and run your 65 laps and go ahead and pit with maybe 30 to go?
Some of that's going to depend on how good my car is, and the other is how good my crew is. I see it as being a 3-stop race if it happens to stay green. The key to this whole deal is who is going to pull the trigger first. The guy that comes to pit road first could dictate so much. Lap times have held on really good, been a lot more consistent with the top cars than early on. If that's my car, I'm looking to break it down to about 55 laps and come on, get me some tires.
And the one guy that cannot make that commitment and do it is our leader, Jeff Gordon. He has to wait till some of the other guys in the top 5 commit, because when you make a green flag stop here, 45 miles an hour, you're going to lose almost 2 laps.
You're right about that, Larry. What we just saw there with Jimmy Spencer's car starting to get loose is a good indicator that these tires are getting ready to go away, and you can't sit out there and slide around all day long because you're going to get lapped when you do come down pit road really bad.
Now, this place is real bad about wearing out the right rear tire, and that's, man, when that baby goes, you'll see what it looks like, because I think that's about where Spencer is.
I almost shouted, but this is about the 50th time today somebody started to wreck and just not finished it.
That was a controlled slide.
Right.
Say.
When you don't hit the wall, that's a controlled slide, right, Larry?
Now, here's a guy that I think we got to give an attaboy to. The whole crowd, Ryan Newman's crowd. He is up to 14th place, started dead last in a car that never seen a racetrack at Darlington. Now, there's not a lot of people that can pull that little feat off.
And you know, he crawled in a backup car last year at Kansas after wrecking in practice and finished second. But I reminded his crew chief, Matt Borland, that's a car he had been on the racetrack with before.
Yeah, I mean, this car hadn't even seen a racetrack. They didn't want to come out of the truck when they told us it's at Darlington.
Ward Burton saw Jimmy Spencer get sideways, and now he pounces on Spencer.
This is for 5th position. And Darrell, it almost looks like Ward Burton's car is good on those long runs.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be interesting strategy. If Burton's car is good on long runs, and his crew chief is Tommy Baldwin, the king of short pitting, what will they do?
We'll find out in a minute.
Welcome back to Darlington, South Carolina. The lady in black, tough on Steve Park and Ricky Craven, as well as Robbie Gordon. Craven, the pole sitter, gave it another try, but forced out of this one. The pole sitter has won this race just once in the last 17 tries. And Jeff Gordon, who started on the front row, your current leader. Let's look at the Dodge race summary. After 185 laps, 3 leaders, just 2 lead changes. And you see that 25 cars on the lead lap. Jeff Gordon, who has led just 19 laps in his first 4 races this season, took over on lap 38 and has not let go. Jeff Hammond with me in the Hollywood Hotel. And Jeff, if we look at yesterday, Jeff Burton led all 147 laps of the Busch Series race from start to finish. And with just about 105 laps to go here, Jeff Gordon certainly could do that. What has to happen for somebody to catch him?
To me, when you look at Jeff Gordon, you talk about what Jeff Burton did on Saturday, he's in a zone. I'm telling you right now, every now and then a driver will get in that zone, he gets the rhythm going, and you just can't break it. I mean, it's so hard to overcome that. That kind of trickles down to the crew. They're doing a great job, and everything's just falling in place and getting the job done. Darrell Waltrip, I've seen you in that zone, and Larry McReynolds, I'm sure you've worked with drivers before who've been in that zone.
Yeah, the place that's as tough as this is, you've really got to focus and concentrate hard. And when your car's there for you, you can really make everybody else look like they're going to kindergarten.
Tony Stewart starting 36th, moves up past Jimmy Spencer into 6th place.
He's in the zone. His car's working for him as well.
Yeah, they have been for every race so far this year. It's unfortunate they had trouble at Daytona, because I believe you'd be looking at the point leader if it wasn't for that.
Well, what did we say about him last September? Started back in the 30s and finished 4th.
Yeah, but at about middle ways last year, this team really came into its own. They matured, started getting great runs, great finishes, winning races, and they have not let up.
And we're starting to see a few green flag stops. Joe Nemechek in the 26, Brett Bodine in 11, John Andretti. These are guys that were about to go a lap down or was a lap down. They're trying to get that jump on those 4 fresh tires, see if they can get back on that lead lap. Dick Berger.
Well, Elliott Sadler right now is running in 3rd spot, and he's just heard some good words on his radio that he's running as fast as the leader. Pat Tryson, crew chief, how long are you going to stay out?
Well, the motor and coiling parts have been getting pretty good gas mileage. We could probably go at about 210, but I don't think we'll go that far. It depends when all the leaders come. You don't want to be out there in old tires when they got new ones. So I'm guessing somewhere around 195 when everybody's going to come.
That's about the number that Jeff Gordon is talking about as well, around lap 195.
We talked about Ward Burton's crew chief, Tommy Baldwin, being the king of short pitting, meaning not running out the full tank of fuel, but coming in early to get fresher tires, to put on, to get lower lap times, to make everybody else then come in sooner than they wanted to.
And another downside of staying out there on where a lot of other cars is coming to pit road is they're out there on fresh tires. They're catching you at such a fast rate, you can't get out of the way quick enough.
And Johnny Benson brushed the wall, and he's coming pit side.
Don't look like no tire rubs or anything. It's just a little flat.
Right here we are. Don't spend a lot of time. Come on. 4 tires.
Well, flat being the sheet metal, not the tires, but time to come in.
Yeah, and what he's saying is don't spend a lot of time. Hey, we're not going to a show here. We're racing. Now just get the tire going and get out.
So Benson fouls from the lead lap, and now Ricky Rudd goes a lap down to the charge of Jeff Gordon.
Ricky's in the 24th position, so we have 23 cars on the lead lap. The next one's that car right up there in front. The guy that led every lap yesterday, Jeff Burton, in that 99 car. His troubles continue.
How about it, Matt? Is the king of short pitting polishing his crown down there?
Well, Mike, you remember back in Tommy Baldwin's modified days, he was nicknamed Two-Tire Tommy for always taking on two, and I doubt he'll take two anytime today. Tommy, when are you going to come back in for 4 tires?
Well, car's a little tight, which making it loose off the corners and hurting the right rear tire, but we're going to be coming in about 10 more laps and make some adjustments to it. I went the wrong way in the last stop. Let's see what happens.
They're still lacking forward by currently Ward Burton in the 4th position.
If he comes in 10 laps, Larry, that would leave him 89 laps to run.
That would be too far. That would be too far. Everybody should have to make 2 more stops.
You know, there are 4 cars officially out of this race. They had not marked Steve Park as officially out of the race. He's coming back in as Jeff Gordon comes to pit road.
And trust me, the other guys cannot be far behind.
21's coming in right behind him. So here come a bunch of cars.
That's what Pat Tryson said. They do what the leader did, and so here they come. This is under green flag pit stops.
And here comes the 17, here comes the 40. They're all coming now. When Gordon comes, they all come.
In this pit road, it goes all the way from over the middle of turn 4 all the way down into turn 1. Dick Burton.
Well, as soon as Jeff Gordon's guys jumped on the wall, Tryson and his guys jumped on the wall, and that's what started it. All the way down pit road, people got ready to pit. Jeff Gordon indeed set the tone for these pit stops. The car has been excellent all day long. No wrenches in the back of this automobile. They're on the rear tires already. Johnny Leclerc got it on. There they go. 21 also in. Elliott Sadler in for his pit stop. A little bit slower than Gordon. Not the best pit stop of the day that they have had. Steve.
Well, Nick Sterling Marlin comes to the attention of his crew. They have not called for any chassis adjustments. Clay Robinson on the front tires. Nate Kennan on the rear. A new rear tire carrier this week. Dwayne Trammell as Kennan comes to the rear tires. Rick Reeling is the jack man. Jerry Schweitz the gas man. No chassis adjustment for Sterling Marlin.
Oh, trouble. Turn 4 down here in trouble.
Kurt Busch has crashed at turn 3, and now spinning is Huck Strickland and another car in the wall. Matt.
And Mike, the 22 car is already on pit road. They went back on their wedge adjustment. As they look up and see the 11 car go smoking by, they're telling Tommy Baldwin about the caution.
Nothing he could do. Car was already jacked up and the lug nuts off.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well go ahead and complete the stop.
Mark Martin's leading the race, and so he hadn't pitted yet, so it's going to put some guys that have some guys in trouble.
Oh, what a difference a caution flag.
Yeah, sadly, it's
they fall at the right time, and sometimes they fall at the wrong time. That was untimely.
The circuit's sole remaining driver owner, Brett Bodine, is involved in that crash. We saw Kurt Busch go spinning as well up at turn number 3.
I think the top 4 or 5 cars that were leading the race here before that happened, Spencer, Gordon, a couple of others, Sterling, I think they were ahead of Mark Martin, so they're going to be okay.
The cars that hadn't pitted, Mark Martin, Bobby Labonte, and Tony Stewart, his teammate, Bobby Labonte's teammate. And Kurt Busch was the other one.
Yeah, Kurt Busch was one of those.
See if we can see what happened here.
Pick it up there in progress as Busch went spinning back down to the track apron, and there Bodine tags Hut Strickland, who had checked up.
Daryl, I'm not a big speculator. This is one of the worst places in the world coming on the pit road. I just wonder if Kurt Busch was trying to get on the pit road and that entrance snuck up on him.
Yeah, there wasn't any problem. He spun the car around. What the problem was is a spotter or somebody hollered at those other guys. They ran over each other. They lifted and ran over each other. See, he has no damage. He just spun coming on trying to get on pit road.
And his caution flag put a lot of cars down. He's still on the lead lap in 4th.
Where's that Shamrock now that I need it, you know? At the time of the caution flag, the pace car picked up the leading driver who had not yet pitted. You see him at the top of your screen, Mark Martin. First time he's led this year, along with Bobby Labonte and Kurt Busch. Now, because the pace car picked up Mark Martin, the drivers who had pitted had to fall in line behind him. So now that Mark has gone to pit road, he'll come back out, and several of those drivers are still behind the pace car, but they'll be ahead of the race leader on the tail end of the lead lap. And they include Dale Earnhardt Jr., Elliott Sadler, Michael Waltrip, Bill Elliott.
Yeah, he'll be leading the race, but he's going to restart this race at about 13th or 14th position.
And we're going to have some fun now, boys.
Oh, yeah.
And the Lady in Black has taken a toll here. 4 cars officially out. 18 cars yesterday in the Busch race here in Darlington. That was a record. The one car, remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And the one car was Steve Park, which went out on lap 38. Steve Park making his return here after a 6-month absence. Darlington is back, coming back on the track, 158 laps down. And there is Steve Park, so at least wants to finish his comeback in this race. We're under our 4th caution. Jeff Gordon, our leader, and we're getting ready for a restart that could be a real adventure here.
It's going to be an adventure. I can guarantee you that right now. We've got Jeff Gordon leading this thing, followed by Sterling Marlin, but we've also got about 10 cars that are in front of them. Because of that caution flag, guys have made pit stops. They're on the tail end of the lead lap. They're trying to stay ahead of Jeff Gordon. Believe you me, when this thing goes back green, it's going to be exciting.
And Jeff Gordon, the off-the-track distraction, and also trying to end a streak of 12 straight races in which he has not finished in the top 5. His last win was Kansas last September. Now let's check in now with our Matt Yoakum down on the track. Matt?
Well, Chris, I'm down here in the 20 pit, and Greg Zipadelli, you were talking about a track bar adjustment. What'd you guys do to the 20?
We just went up a little in the left rear, down a little in the right rear pressure, and up a half round, about 1/8 of an inch in the track bar. We're kind of fighting just a little tight end, but I can't give up any forward bite on the exit, so we'll just keep working on it. Home Depot Pontiac running good. Guys in the pits have been awesome all day. Got us up in the top 5 here, and hopefully we can finish it off there.
Now, the 22 got caught when the caution came out on pit road. They had to come back in. How close were you guys to pitting?
We were a couple cars behind them. We were kind of debating whether to try and get 5 laps, 5 points. Everybody else had come. We didn't want to give up that much on sticker, so we came, but we just kind of exited back through pit road here, and it kind of worked out for us. Kept us on the lead lap.
Currently in the 5th position. Steve?
Well, Matt, with Lee McCall, crew chief for Sterling Marlin. Lee, you've done a great job coming from the rear of the field, but now the question is, can you get to that 24 and pass him?
The 24 car, he's always good here. You know, what we got to do is keep racing this old racetrack, and you know, hopefully we can bow those guys at the end. But Coors Light Dodge has run flawless all day, and Sterling's done a great job for us. So again, we'll just keep racing the racetrack and just be there at the end.
All right, thanks, Lee. Let's go to Dick Bergeron.
Strange times for 5-time Darlington winner Bill Elliott. He had just committed to the pit area. They were in the process of their pit stop when that caution flag came out. They took right side tires only, went back out on the speedway, rotated around the racetrack a few times, came back in and took the left side tires. The result, he is now running in 20th spot. Chris?
All right, Jeff Gordon tied with 4 drivers for 3rd. With 5 wins all time here at Darlington, hoping to make it 6. We'll be back live getting ready for the restart in just a moment.
And a half for the restart. Now remember the last time Jeff Gordon and Sterling Marlin restarted nose to tail. Watch what happens down in the lower right corner of your screen. This is what happened at Daytona in the 500. Marlin and Gordon get together, and you'll hear Jeff's explanation of it to his team.
I mean, Sterling hung back so much there that, I mean, you know,
And then we had Fendergate, and the rest was history. Ward Burton won the Daytona 500.
Now, go figure this out. I mean, they're 1st and 2nd back there, but they're 10 cars back. You're a Dale Jr., hey, you're leading the race, but you're not leading the race.
You're not the race leader, but you'll be first out on the restart. So he had this conversation with his crew.
Yeah, I think I want to know if you want to take the high line or the low line, which one you want. Tell him I'm going in the corner first. Just tell him, man.
Yeah, all right. Tell him, man.
Take the high line, then you'll control the start of the race. The inside line don't control the start of the race. You'll have a hard time telling Elliott then, Tony. I'll get the high line and I'll be down in the corner. He'll be behind.
Now these cars are on the tail end of the lead lap. There's a spotter, Ty Norris.
I'm just a messenger. Don't shoot me.
When the caution came out, the pace car picked up Mark Martin as the leader. Everyone else who had already pitted fell in line behind. Then when Martin pitted, under caution, everyone else could pull up to the pace car. but they couldn't come all the way around. That's why these cars are trapped on the tail end of the lead lap behind the pace car. It's going to get interesting here in a minute. Cars on the tail end of the lead lap behind the pace car. They will get the green flag first. Fox Tracks points out where the leader, Jeff Gordon, will be on this restart. 13th in line, but he's the race leader.
And got to be careful. Got a really good race car, obviously. You just got to not get in trouble here.
But, Darrell, it's going to be interesting to watch Jeff Gordon in that 24 car because he's been at the front all day. He's been in clean air. Now he's back there in traffic. Let's see how good he really is.
Yeah, because I've talked to him about that. He said that's one of his biggest problems. When they get loose track position, car gets that arrow. I said I'm going to say it. I'll say it once. Dreaded arrow push.
Loses that front downforce. Won't turn near as good.
And all those cars in front of him want desperately to stay on the lead lap because now if a caution flag comes out, they'll come all the way around, get the free pass.
This is when they'll be start hollering. I see something on the racetrack. I see debris down here.
Well, so far, so good. They get single file in a hurry, and that's good news for him.
Tony Stewart on the move in third. Challenging Sterling Marlin for second.
They just don't want Gordon to get away from them here. Get some lap cars between them and between Sterling and Tony. Hard to make up that distance. They're banking on those lap cars holding him up. Every time Gordon goes by one of these cars in front of him now, he's putting them a lap down.
Here are the cars on the tail end of the lead lap out in front of Jeff Gordon. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in ninth, Elliott Sadler, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Bobby Hamilton, Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, Jerry Nadeau. Those cars are out in front of Gordon on the tail end of the lead lap.
And Larry, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. He's got behind the car. The car was there in front of him, Burton, and the car wouldn't turn. It pushed up off of turn 4, and Rusty went back by him. So he's got to have that clean air to go. Look at him. He has to slow down off of 2 there. He had to lift out of the throttle.
Here comes Stewart. Got inside of Marlin and Bill Elliott up in the high lane. Stewart came to second.
The bottom of the racetrack working for Tony now, and he can go.
And Jeff Gordon is not going just as we anticipated.
He's having trouble with those lap cars.
Larry, nobody's saying save those tires now. Now you've got to go.
You have to go if you're one of those cars up there and want that caution flag.
And this is when the spotter and the crew chief, everybody's got to really be on their toes. And you got to tell Jeff, don't get frustrated. The thing will come around to you. Just don't get frustrated, make a mistake.
Look at our interval right here. You kept seeing it getting smaller and smaller.
Now, Rusty has passed him twice. That's the second time Rusty's got back around him. Gordon passed him back down here at 1 and 2. Tony Stewart is right there.
Wallace is 19th, and that puts him on the tail end of the lead lap.
He's been on and off the lead lap about 3 times now the last few laps.
Yeah, since the restart.
Yeah.
Right now, Jeff Gordon in the 24, he's moved to the bottom of the racetrack. He saw how good it was working for Tony Stewart.
And there again, the spotter, the crew chief, everybody's got to say, Stewart's on that bottom. Got to take a look at it.
Last lap, though, Jeff Gordon ran a 31.07. Stewart ran a 30.95, over a 10th faster.
Cars are pretty equal. It all depends on what line you decide to run. I believe Tony's going to try to dive under Gordon here. No, they're sliding up the hill. It's almost like Gordon is looking in his mirror and kind of blocking his line. He does not want Gordon to get in front of him, or Stewart to get in front of him.
You know, Dale Jr. and Elliott Sadler did a good job of getting out in front of everybody. There's a lot of clean air in front of them. And should the caution come out, I'd say at least 7 or 8 of these cars are going to be able to get the free pass around and stay on the lead lap.
Boy, I tell you, Gordon's car is tight up off of 2 over there, Larry. He shoves out, he gets a lift. Tony gets a heck of a run on him.
I mean, right now, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And here he comes. Here he comes. He's going to come to the bottom.
6 races at Darlington. Stewart has never led a lap here.
He's always finished on the lead lap,
right.
Always, but never led a lap.
Just got to be real cautious.
Boy, what a run he's had since that last place finish in Daytona. Lost the engine.
Now, let's watch off of 2 over here. This is where he's been catching.
There's Tony's handy little helper there in the back window.
And you see he gets a run off of 2 every time. He's got him. He's got him this time.
Got trapped behind that lap car right there.
He's going to try to slide right up in front of him. Can he make it? Nope. Needed some more room. Almost put the slide job on him, but he's got the position going into turn 1.
Sterling Marlin's done caught this group right now. He's in 3rd position in the 40 car.
Tony Stewart's march through the field today has been pretty unbelievable. He started 36th today. And now comes to the lead with 74 laps to go.
In the first 50, 60 laps, didn't go anywhere. Moved up 2 positions.
And Sterling Marlin had to start last or near last because of the engine change. And he too is at a long climb through the field.
This is a racetrack where you don't get in a hurry. You don't race hard until you get down to the last 4th of the race.
It's no longer here shortly racing the racetrack.
No, you start racing the competition, which it thins itself out, and you know who it is, you know who you got to beat.
Look at that, 90% of the races at Darlington have been won from the top 10. There's 2 fellas out front that started way, way back.
And right now, Tony Stewart is 4/10 of a lap faster than Jeff Gordon because he's back there having to contend with Bobby Hamilton, a lap car.
I think Gordon's car is still, I don't know if he's as good as Stewart is right now, but Gordon's car will get better as it goes along. He's just a little tight on new tires, look like.
But he has got a rear view mirror full of Sterling Marlin in that 40 car.
That's been the 3 best cars right there at the front right now, the 20, the 24, and the 40.
Now, if Marlin wins this, they're going to need an asterisk for the record book because he will be credited with the starting position where he qualified. They don't take into account whether you have to go to the backup car and start at the rear of the field. So Marlin officially is credited with starting this race 11th, even though he took the green flag in the back. You know, the fellow who brought out that caution, Kurt Busch, who spun in turn 3, was able to stay on the lead lap and continue. He's the 6th place car.
You sure his name isn't McBush?
He's definitely the one that caused all this
Kurt Busch. Yep, there's a little bit of green riding with Kurt Busch today. And Mark Martin, 7th place, right behind his young teammate.
Mike, I want to wish my neighbor, Brad Tolley, good luck. He's going in the Air Force next week and serve our country like so many young men are right now. I just want to wish him good luck. And good luck to all of our troops that are overseas fighting for our freedom.
And the guy that restarted this race, leading it, not leading it, but leading the pack, Dale Earnhardt Jr., he's 10.5 seconds out there in front of Tony Stewart leading this race, but he's where Jeff Gordon was all day long, clean air.
He's out there giving that field the goodbye look. But he and Elliott Sadler,
caution. All these guys would love to see a caution.
He and Elliott Sadler, Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Newman, Matt Kenseth, they would all benefit from a caution right now. But we're under green at Darlington. A ferocious crash in the back straightaway off turn number 2. Tony Stewart, the leader around. Mark Martin's in it. Ward Burton's in it. One car got completely sideways and the track was blocked. Look at the damage to Schrader's car. He is climbing out. His teammate Johnny Benson is involved. Kurt Busch, you see his damaged car. And the leader Stewart caught up in it.
Mark Martin and 24 car's got damage on the right side. I don't know how bad it is. I don't think it's real bad, but he scraped along the side of Tony Stewart.
Dave Blaney and Ward Burton are the other cars involved. Jeff Gordon, I believe he got a little right side damage as he drove through there.
He got into the back side of Stewart's, but it didn't look that bad.
But he did get through.
I don't think he hurt his cars cosmetically. That's about it. I think he can fix it. I think Tony must be hurt, and I feel so sorry for Kenny Schrader. I hope Tony's all right.
Stewart's car got sideways, Gerald, and I believe he got hit hard in the left side.
Yeah, they're
when one car gets sideways here, this track gets so narrow. There's nowhere for anyone to go. Damage to Buckshot Jones.
I think he actually was involved in something that started all of this off turn 2.
Yeah, old Bush has gone to the garage now, by the way.
And all those cars that were on the tail end of the lead lap do get the free pass around.
Well, the 24 and the 40, little damage on the right front of the 24, but not very much.
Of the lead lap cars, about the only 2 cars that was not involved is the 24 and the 40, and we're hearing that Jeff Gordon may have a little bit of damage.
Yeah, he's got a little bit, but not very much. He's okay.
Dick Berggren.
He definitely has got some damage. They've been talking on the radio about it. The most important thing they want to do is to clear the fender so that there's no chance of that fender hitting the tire. Right now, they're beating on the right front corner, trying to get that fender out. They want to make sure that there's no contact with the tire. There is now, however, a hole in that fender area. That's not going to help him at higher speed. Right side tires are on. They're going to change the left side tires. Tough break for Jeff Gordon back there in the traffic, and he just got into it.
The race off pit road is won by Marlin, then Earnhardt Jr., Sadler, and Harvick.
Being a lap down wasn't so bad, was it?
Not for those fellows, but melee in the backstretch. Again, Dave Blaney involved, Tony Stewart, Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Schrader, Kurt Busch, and I believe Ward Burton. Let's see what happened coming off turn 2.
It's Tony all by himself.
Going low.
Oh, Buckshot got in trouble.
He was sideways off turn 2, got loose, and Tony Stewart just came up on him so fast, nowhere to go. There's where Jeff Gordon got the damage. Sterling Marlin gets through, and Bill Elliott gets through.
Oh,
and there's the end.
Goodness.
Spencer just pile drove Stewart's car. There you see Ward Burton get caught up in it, and a host of cars on the outside.
Another view, just see Buckshot Jones in the 44 get
There was
sideways.
so much smoke that Spencer and those guys just could not see. There's all the smoke out there. So watch, these guys are coming here and they can't see. They're coming out of the smoke. It's like coming out of a bank of fog.
Wow, what a hit.
Oh, my goodness.
And at that speed, Darrell, from 300 feet away, what can you do?
Well, there's nothing. You're at just the mercy of the track, either opening up and you slip
Watch
through.
in front of you there. Watch in front of you there. Come on. Back to the caution. Go back to the caution. Come on. 44 is the leader. 29 outside.
Tony Stewart, it's reported, is out of his car.
Well, the good news is all that impact was on the right side.
So here's Gordon back in. You saw and heard just that little thump as Jeff Gordon swerved to avoid Tony Stewart and just barely caught him with the right front of his car. Jimmy Spencer's car towed to the garage area, both ends a mess.
I mean, of the 6 or 7 cars that was running behind Tony Stewart that was on the lead lap, the only car that received no damage in that group was Sterling Marlin, the 40 car.
Well, and think about this, back to Charlotte last year when Gordon got bumped in the right front leaving the pit lane and messed up his right front fender, Larry. And he was later, no time at all, he got lapped. So that's a very critical corner of the car here, and they got to get it fixed right.
There are the 11 cars that received some or more damage in that crash. Johnny Benson sitting in, hoping they can make repairs and get him back out.
Slow down.
Couldn't see a thing.
Check up.
Johnny Benson.
High. You got one right in the racetrack high. Wrecked real bad, can't tell.
The spotters, I can't tell. I can't tell you what to do.
Now watch when Stewart gets sideways and the track just closes up.
What a tangled mess.
Under caution for an 11-car pileup on the back straightaway at Darlington. 11 cars in this crash on the back straightaway. Mark Martin waiting on repairs. As far as we know, Tony Stewart, the only one of those 11 who did not drive or walk away. He was helped onto a stretcher and taken to the infield care center. We'll update you as soon as information is available on Tony's condition.
That 20 car, I mean, the right front tire is all the way up under the dash, Larry.
Let's take a look and show you from Fox Tracks the speed of Tony Stewart as he came around turn 2 and ran up against Buckshot Jones. Once Jimmy Spencer piles into Tony, the track becomes blocked.
There's nowhere for these guys to go.
Darrell, of the drivers who were among the race leaders, few made it through.
Yeah, only 2 cars, the 24 and the 40. But let me tell you, as a driver, hit that outside wall and then bounce back out there and you're sitting in the racetrack like that. You are, I'm telling you, you are pulling on everything you got. You know you're fixing to take a hard lick.
So here's where we are after pit stops. Marlin, the leader. Dale Earnhardt Jr., one of those cars that got the free ride around behind the pace car, stayed on the lead lap. Earnhardt Jr. second. Elliott Sadler's third. Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman. Then Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, Rusty Wallace, and Bill Elliott, who snaked through there. Then Jeff Gordon, Jerry Nadeau, and Jeff Burton. Those would be the lead lap cars.
And of those 12 cars, 10 of them was out there wanting a caution flag to get back around to get behind the leader.
And I know we talk about the veterans, but we got a lot of young guys up there right now.
And it's far from over. Caution out for an 11-car crash as Tony Stewart, trying to lap Buckshot Jones, triggered a melee. Caution flag moved a couple of our Koch family drivers back on the lead lap. Kevin Harvick and Jeff Burton there with Bill Elliott ninth. Ricky Rudd, Michael Waltrip, Kyle Petty a lap down in the running order. Bobby Labonte, John Andretti, and Tony Stewart leading, taken out in that crash. Dale Jarrett, oil pump drive belt broke, and Steve Park crashed like Stewart. Bad day to lead this race, Darrell.
Boy, I know we saw the leader taken out, early in the race. Park. Tony Stewart taken out in this situation. And you know what's going to be interesting? We got Rudd, Nemechek, Michael, and Kyle Petty, and Jeremy Mayfield, and Bobby Labonte one lap down that are going to restart on the inside again.
All right, let's go to Steve in the garage.
Mike caught up with Jimmy Spencer. Jimmy, first of all, glad to see you're okay. Can you tell us what happened? That was a bad one.
Yeah, it really was bad. Some lap car there just got loose or whatever and hit Tony, and we saw that, And, but it's all bottlenecked over there, and I got hit really hard from behind and pushed into Tony really hard. But we had a really good car today. Awesome car, another top 5 run. I really felt like I had an opportunity to win. The thing would fly on new tires, and we made some adjustments to make it better, and we got it worse the one time, put it back to where we were, and we knew we had one more pit stop. And, I'm very upset by it, but at least nobody got hurt. Tony's going to be all right, and talking to him, so I'm glad that's more important than anything to me. Especially when I was the one that got pushed into him. But lap cars, everybody's a lap car, but sometimes you have to realize that you got to give way, because the lap car ain't gonna win this damn race, but the lap cars, that's what they want to do, and the idiots cause major pile up, take out 3 or 4 of the leaders. It's just not right.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Jeff Gordon has told his crew that when he got into the accident, he simply could not see. There was so much smoke there. He has made 5 pit stops, during which they put a piece of plastic like this on the right front nose to give him the proper aerodynamics. It is riveted in. It is also taped in by one of these foot-wide, actually several of these foot-wide pieces of tape. And just a few moments ago, Gordon, who was right now 12th on the speedway on the lead lap, told the crew it's one of the best cars he's ever had here at Darlington. They've loosened the car up a little bit because he's got some traffic to go through before he gets to the front.
It's not pretty, but, well, we'll see if it'll work when they drop the green flag for the restart. A grinding crash, 11 cars in it, hard hits. 10 of the 11 drivers walk away, and as Jimmy Spencer pointed out, the other, Tony Stewart, is going to be okay. All because of NASCAR safety implements. Jeff Hammond.
That's right, Mike. I'm sitting inside our cutaway car, and as you can see, I'm pretty much capsulated inside here. New head restraints on both sides of me, so if I happen to hit the wall real hard or get hit by another car, my head would be over against these big, long, cushiony things. You might call it head restraints. Again, safety restraints. Nice, wide belts. 6-point harness a lot of times to keep the drivers pulled down really tight in these cars so they don't have any problems. And you can see door bars here second to none as far as the workmanship right here to try to protect the drivers. That's why when Tony Stewart took a shot over in the right side, he was able to, to withstand that shot, as well as the rest of the drivers that were involved. You don't think about just the guys who walked away. But in Tony's case, more than likely, these new safety restraints with these head deals especially, as well as the Hans or the Hutchins device, probably minimized his injuries today, and I bet you he'll be back in Bristol ready to go again.
Thanks, Jeff. Mark Martin's returned to the race, minus a lot of sheet metal. Here's another look at it. Tony commits low as Buckshot Jones that comes right down the racetrack.
Yeah, but what happened is Buckshot got loose, and then when he tried to catch it, it just came down in front of Tony.
And it was Schrader, Kenny Schrader, who got into the back of Jimmy Spencer, sending Spencer headlong into Tony Stewart. Let's go to Steve.
Mike, we've caught up with Kenny Schrader. Team hard at work on the front of this Pontiac, but there's not much left. Kenny, what happened?
Spotters said turn 2, and wow, that's where I'm at, and a lot of smoke. I couldn't see what happened. I saw on the TV that something, I guess, started with the 44 and the 20, just when I saw, but just a lot of smoke, and you go into it and you just know it's a good chance you're not going to make it through, and then just guys kept running on just
heavy impact.
Well, it's just quick stops. You weren't running that fast and stuff, or you don't think you are, I guess. You're running faster than you think. And yeah, I went over Tony, and he was a little groggy, but looked like everybody would be okay.
Glad you're okay, Kenny. Thanks.
Yeah, the reason I felt kind of sorry for Schrader was, he was the first guy to car down in Daytona back last February, and I worried about him.
So Sterling Marlin, the point leader, becomes the race leader.
Like a champion, he laid back, smart.
Yes, he did. Look, I couldn't see nothing. All of a sudden, smoke cleared, and there's that 20. Barely missed. That's a hell of a job, Sterling.
Well, it was a great job. I mean, you got to be lucky as well as good. Some days you can be both.
And I think that's basically what Sterling Marlin was saying. I couldn't see. I just happened to go to the right place at the right time.
Must have a leprechaun on the ride-along program today. Tony Stewart is going to be airlifted by helicopter to a local hospital to get him checked out. We have no report yet on any injuries. Our hope is that this is precautionary. We have had 2 drivers tell us that they've talked to Stewart and he's going to be okay.
Well, might get sighting here again, boys.
Coming to another green flag. 53 laps to go. 12 cars on the lead lap.
Marlin, Earnhardt Jr., Sadler, Harvick, and Newman. 1 veteran and 4 young guns at the front, and one of them wants the lead.
Inside, clear behind him, clear low.
He didn't waste no time taking that lead.
No, just a few minutes ago, he was a lap down.
But Darrell, you got to remember, and we know he was in clean air. We talked about that. He pulled away from those leaders by 10 seconds.
Well, he's in clean air again, and he's going to be hard to chase down with 50-some laps to go. He's not going to have to pit again. So I think he's in pretty good shape right now. Gordon back here got a great car, but he's got to go through 10 other cars to get to him.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. down on that apron, shoots that car back up the racetrack to the top of turn 1 and 2.
He's done that a lot today when he's been running by himself. And Darrell, he didn't waste a lot of time or his car taking the lead. He just went right after it and got it.
His car's been really good all day on new tires. Sterling's been really good on the longer runs. Elliott Sadler's been kind of right in the middle. So I wouldn't count him out either.
But we saw what Elliott Sadler did there. It's a lot of things we've seen Spencer do a lot, try to get to the bottom, and as you say, you bog the car down. You just can't get the run up off the corner.
You almost want to shift gears. You need to get it up in third gear, get a little power up off the corner.
All these cars now are at pit road lap 225. That's 68 laps to go. As far as any strategy, you just go, you see a checkered flag, or if we see another caution flag, you'll get 4 more tires.
Yeah, don't be hollering about tires because you're going to go to the finish on what you got.
As I like to say, you got what you got.
You got what you got. Now work your hands and not your mouth.
And do you think that's why Sterling Marlin did not put up a fight for the lead?
I think Sterling knows his car well enough to know that it's going to come to him, and Dale Jr.'s is going to go away, and he's set right where he wants to.
Let's go to the pits.
Hey, DW, you're exactly right. We heard Tony Glover say on a short run, There's a lot of guys better than you, but after 10 or 12 laps, you are by far the best car on the racetrack, so be patient. Matt Yoakum.
Well, Steve, an update from the hospital here. NASCAR officials Mike Zizzo has reported that Tony Stewart is complaining about pain in his lower back and lower leg area. He is going to be airlifted to Carolinas Medical Center in Florence for x-rays, but right now the prognosis looks good for Stewart.
Thanks, Matt.
You get knocked around like that inside the car, your body goes through a lot of twists and turns. He's going to be sore, and hopefully he'll be fine. The bad news is he's got to run 500 miles at Bristol next weekend.
Oh, boy.
Isn't it 500 laps? It just feels like 500 miles?
What did I say, 500 miles?
Yeah.
It does feel like 500 miles.
You know, I've been watching the scoring monitor, and I think this says a lot for how good Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car is. Our monitor will tell us who ran the fastest lap when they ran it. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has run the fastest lap of his race just 3 laps ago, 29.97.
Boy, that's faster than anybody. Nobody's been in the 29 since the race started. But those young guys out front, they can gas it up.
Especially if you put them with less than 100 laps to go.
The race pace has picked up. 8 drivers have just turned their fastest lap of the race.
And I tell you, I think why that is, we were under 15 laps of caution. NASCAR blew the racetrack with the blowers. Got all the debris off of it, got all the rubber off of it. She's got a little more grip than she had before that caution.
Yeah, and it's late in the day, and I'm sure our track temperatures have probably come down some, so that's picked up the speed.
Earnhardt Jr. quickest, Ryan Newman coming on.
I just can't. I'm impressed with Ryan Newman. I was impressed with his qualifying run. I don't know how he made it through that run. And today to get in that backup car, keep his calm, cool, collective. Here he is in the top 5.
It's sitting second in points.
Second in the points. Chasing a veteran. Pretty savvy little guy there. Pretty savvy race car driver.
Now, Kevin Harvick was one of those who were caught on the tail end of the lead lap by the earlier crash and caution by the Kurt Busch spin and Brett Bodine crash.
I mean, he started in 16th, and he's just one of those guys that picked the right spot to go through in that big cloud of smoke back on the backstretch.
I've been watching Jeff Gordon in his car, and again, just like before there, it's just not that good in traffic. Now, once these cars get single file and spread out a little bit, he might be all right, but I don't think he's got enough time to chase down Junior.
No, he's back in 11th position, 7.5 seconds behind Dale Earnhardt Jr.
The only thing that'll help anybody, and it's going to be a while happening, is traffic, and there's just not going to be that much.
Now, you see, he's a little quicker than Junior. That number, well, now it goes back up again. It was coming down.
Gordon has a terrible time off turn 2. His car's too tight off that corner.
I believe Sterling Marlin's car is coming to life here about 10 laps after this restart to the outside.
Look,
going into turn
smart racing. We don't need to be held up here. Gordon's back there. They know that. That's a product of being worried about the guys back there back behind them. Let Sterling get in front. You follow him. He's faster than you are. I can't tell you how smart that is. That's so impressive when you see somebody do stuff like that.
Don't race him now. Race him 40 laps from now. 43 to go as the track too tough to tame. Darlington. Welcome back to Darlington. Wonder what that fella drove to the track today. Dodge, Ford, Chevrolet.
And, you know, I said that Dale Jr. was smart by letting Sterling go back. Folks, there's a strategy to everything that you do. The teams, the spotters, everybody's talking to the driver. You don't just go out there and hold people up and get yourself in trouble. There's a time to pull over and let somebody go, a time to follow them, a time to race. That's part of the whole deal.
Here's that race for second place.
And you can see, Junior just pulled down. His spotter called him, his crew called him and said, look, 21's faster than you are, let him go.
Just like he did for Sterling Marlin a few laps ago.
And we beat ourselves to death here about racing the track. He's racing the track.
Which we hope are precautionary, as Matt reported. Young Guns. Maybe we talked too much about Young Guns last week. We thought today would be the day of the savvy veterans. But look who's up there in the top 5. 4 out of 5. Sadler, Earnhardt Jr., Harvick, and Newman. And right behind Newman, Jimmy Johnson's almost. He only lacks a car length to be in the top 5.
Well, we don't want to forget about Rusty Wallace, who's in 7th place. You know, he's had an up and down day, but right now he's in the top 10 there, having a great day, and his old heap's running pretty good.
Rusty with 2 second place finishes here. Never won here.
Oh, don't say that. It makes him mad.
never yet hasn't won here.
Right.
That's it.
There's Russell. He just tootling along, kept his nose clean, his car not beat up.
Elliott Sadler.
Whoa!
Sterling Marlin in.
I think something happened to Sterling.
Did he get a piece of the concrete?
He may have.
Let's see.
All around, back in your
Car comes by. No really apparent damage.
He got pretty close, Dick.
Elliott Sadler has simply been reeling him in. We've been watching the scoring monitor, and lap after lap after lap, this interval is getting smaller and smaller, and Elliott Sadler right now has got his eye on the leader. What a day this would be if this young kid could win here at Darlington this afternoon.
And we were talking about Bristol next week, and who is the defending champion of that race next week?
Mr. Elliott Sadler.
You got it. So that working out he's been doing for the interviews, he might be able to get a few of them, Jeff.
I hope you're right there, DW, because that's a fine young man right there, and he's right now up on top of that wheel, holding a pretty wheel as we watch him come through off that corner trying to run down Sterling Marlin. I don't mind if he outruns me today.
Well, that 21 is no stranger to victory lane here. The Wood brothers 8 times have won at Darlington, and David Pearson, who carried that 21 to many of those wins, is the track's all-time winner with 10 victories.
Clear.
You saw Mark Martin, who returned to the racetrack. Ward Burton has also come back on track after that crash.
Came in here third in points. Every lap is important when you're battling for that championship.
31 laps to go at Darlington on Fox. Fifth place is the race. Ryan Newman battling Jimmy Johnson, trying to hold Johnson off for fifth.
They've been battling for about 25 laps.
Well, this is the Rookie of the Year battle as well, right here.
And they got to use, it's getting late in the day, and they got both of them at the top, let's see, 5 here, 6, 5th, and 6th. They got to take care of their stuff and not wreck each other. That's the main thing.
Darrell, 8 of the top 10 drivers right now have never won here.
And pretty young, too.
Here comes Johnson down the inside of Ryan Newman down here.
Never thought Dale Earnhardt Jr. we could say he's older than 4 of these guys, 27 years old.
The Wood brothers have 8 victories here. Cale Yarborough gave them their first back in 1968. David Pearson won 6 times. And Neil Bonnet, the Southern 500, 1981. The most recent win here for Glenn and Leonard Wood. Here's them.
Leonard Wood, one of the original members of the Wood brothers, first came to this racetrack in 1953. Now age 67. Guess who was underneath the hood of the race car this morning setting up the carburetor on Elliott Sadler's car? Leonard Wood nervously watching his car running in second spot.
What a shame. Jerry Navy in the 25 car, one of the lucky guys, got that back on the lead lap a while ago. He's had a really not a good year. His best finish 15th at Las Vegas. He was running 10th, and here he comes to pit road with about 20-something laps to go.
Dave Blaney back in the race and in the pits, back into the race after that crash. Let's go back down to Derek.
Well, Jeff Gordon has called into his pit crew and said he thinks he has a tire going down in that number 24 car.
Luck is fleeting, especially at this place.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon sits there, leads the race, uncontested, gets in trouble off of turn 2, no fault of his own, and now his day's gone down to 2.
But his real turning point was not of his making, Darrell.
Oh, yeah.
He came to pit road for 4 tires, routine pit stop. Kurt Busch, we think, misses pit road, brings the caution out, puts it back in the field. Now look at him here.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a bad day to be the leader. Steve Hart led the race, ran over a lapped car. Jeff Gordon got caught up when Tony Stewart, leading the race, ran over a lapped car. A bad day to be the leader.
I'm telling you, got a pretty good old heat here. Is Rusty Wallace. He keeps closing in on that 48 and 12 up in front of him there.
Well, as long as those guys run side by side, which that's what you're supposed to do with 20-something laps to go. You don't let anybody have anything. Rusty will continue to reel him in.
He made some adjustments early in the race, got him way behind. I thought he really got himself in trouble, but he's dug himself out of the hole, and here he is, running in the 7th spot.
For the first time since Daytona, all 3 of NASCAR's premier divisions in action at the same track on the same weekend. Let's give you a little bit of update. As yesterday, Jeff Burton led flag to flag in the Busch race. You saw on FX, Jason Keller picked up the point lead by 12 over Greg Biffle after 4 races. And in the Craftsman Truck Series, Sears presents the points. Ted Musgrave and Robert Presley, with identical finishes in the 2 races, are tied for the lead. Sterling Marlin out in front of Elliott Sadler now by 1.5 seconds with 19 laps to go. Welcome back to Darlington. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds and Darrell Waltrip. We're closing in. We're 15 laps to go. Marlin, Sadler, and Earnhardt. Kevin Harvick, the first 4, but the big battle on the racetrack has been for 5th place. Ryan Newman has been trying to hold off Jimmy Johnson and Newman's teammate Rusty Wallace. And Jeff Hammond, Rusty, he's got a little bit of score to settle, but not necessarily with these 2 guys.
That's exactly right, Mike. Today I was talking to Bill Wilburn, who is Rusty's crew chief, and Bill has got a sprint car that Johnny Herrera drives for him on the World of Outlaw circuit. Well, last night at the Devil's Bowl, Johnny finished 5th. So he went to Rusty and said, hey, you got to do better than my sprint car did. And Rusty said, no problem. I'm going to run 5th or better today, and you can bet on that. It's just a friendly bet, strictly for pride, and it looks like Rusty's trying to hold his end up.
Still there. He's faster than these guys. He got caught up a couple of times here in traffic. I think he's got Jimmy this time. Oh, no, see, that's a rookie now. See how a rookie races on the outside into that corner? That was not a smart thing to do. They made it. And I know, well, they're racing for the, it's the end of the day, but you got to be really careful doing that. You'll take both cars out.
If Rusty wasn't a veteran that he is, exactly, it would have already happened.
Rusty probably anticipated that happening. Now, Rusty's probably calling his spotter and saying, hey, tell that guy I'm better than he is and get out of my way.
Of all the cars that was in that big wreck, the only 3 that are in the garage area that will not be back out, of course, Tony Stewart, Jimmy Spencer. Kenny Schrader came back out and completed 1 lap. What that did, that moved him up 2 positions in front of Tony Stewart and Jimmy Spencer. Then he went back to the garage area, gained those 2 positions by running 1 lap.
And that's 6 points at the end of the season. That could be meaningful.
Yes, it could.
Elliott Sadler is 2.7 seconds off the lead, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. has now fallen 6 seconds back. Earnhardt is under pressure from Kevin Harvick for that 3rd position.
And that's really impressive with Harvick, too, Larry, because Harvick was not even in a contention all day long until he got back on the lead lap after that wreck.
No, I mean, those guys, they were struggling in practice yesterday. They've just kind of been just so-so ever since they unloaded here on Friday morning. But again, he got back on the lead lap after that big wreck and was in position.
Yeah, he needs a good run because he's really been struggling. And that team's kind of down. They haven't lived up to their expectations this year yet.
Not at all.
10 to go.
And let me tell you, there ain't a guy out there and he's saying, boy, I'll be glad when it's over with.
And Harvick is about 1/10 of a lap faster than Dale Earnhardt Jr. He runs up on it, especially off the corner. Right here on the straightaway, Dale Earnhardt Jr. pulls him a little bit.
Hard to make the passes here. You got to have the whole racetrack or else you take a chance. And you don't want to take a chance this late in the race.
And this is going to be a full run on this set of tires right here. They won't pit road at lap 225. That's 60-something laps, besides the caution laps they're in. So, I mean, this is one of the longest runs that they've had all day on that tire.
And the key for Sterling Marlin is on that last restart, he didn't race Dale Earnhardt Jr. He let him go, saved his car, and put himself in a position to win.
He didn't save his tires, he just didn't abuse them.
All right. He's had that knowledge. He's got experience, but he's also got knowledge. That's all that stuff you write down all the time, Larry. There you go. The book of wisdom. Now, if you can just get somebody to use it and listen to you, you'll be okay. Like my crew chief on board, you've got to believe what I'm trying to tell you.
Sadler is 3 seconds back. Junior is 6 seconds back with Harvick. Ryan Newman is 9 seconds back with Jimmy Johnson and Rusty Wallace. Then Matt Kenseth, 11 seconds back in 8th. Jeff Gordon is 9th. Bill Elliott 10th. Jeff Burton 11th.
That's a good solid day for Bill Elliott. We talked about it earlier in the race, just stayed out of trouble.
Bill, I told you when the end of the day came, he'd be in the top 10, he wouldn't have a scratch on his car.
10 years ago, he won this race, his 4th consecutive victory in the Junior Johnson number 11.
Yeah, no, it's pretty tough to be here for a while. You're getting out of Bill just what Bill can do. He runs the race, he runs all day, he stays out of trouble, gets a good finish.
3rd place. This isn't over.
By no means, with 6 laps to go.
Earnhardt Jr. and Harvick.
And they have enough cushion on Ryan Newman back in 5th in the 12 car. They can get up here and go after it a little bit. Harvick pulls right up on the rear bumper. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Harvick's been beating him, getting down in the corner right there, down to the bottom side. Now, will it stick?
No, but here's the thing. Remember how Junior pulled over, let the 40 and the 21 go by?
So everybody knows, still there. Clear, all clear, all clear.
I don't think he was just waving to him.
No, he wasn't. That's cooling off that glove because it was smoking.
Yes.
So I ain't pulling over for you there, bud. You're going to have to get by me.
Man, what a battle between these two guys.
Well, they're having fun. Now, believe it or not, these two guys probably having fun. Oh,
He did it. He pulled over, Darryl.
He's pretty smart.
He done had enough on the front stretch.
Close as fast as your mirror.
Well, you talk about double dipping. They double dipped all the way through turn 4 here.
You want that spot that bad, you just go ahead. Yeah. I'll deal with you later. Hey, what are you thinking? Man, is the race about over with?
I'm sliding around, y'all over the top of me.
If third's that important to you, just have at it. I think Junior's just trying to hang on, right here to get to the finish.
He's 3.5 more laps. We'll get us a nice top 3 or 4, top 4.
Yeah, he's got a big handful right there.
He's going to have a hard time holding off to the trail car because he is closing in a hurry.
14 up here again.
Sterling Marlin, all those Carolina Dodge dealers who've named this race are breathing a little easier with him out front by 3.5 seconds with 3 to go.
There's a lot of lap traffic up there. That kind of lead, you just need to pick and choose where you go by these guys.
Yeah, he's under no pressure. I mean, he can just about coast in from here. I know he'd just soon not to run up on anybody else. He'd just soon to follow him. And I don't think he'd have anything to worry about.
We're all around, 2 to go.
And here comes Newman.
Yeah, he's closing in a hurry. Here comes the 48 and the 2 both. So Junior's going to have his hands full here last couple of laps.
I think he's done made those tires mad.
Yeah, he done ticked those tires off. And he's in no position to hold anybody up. That has a whole lot to do with it. Your car's not good enough to outrun somebody. You get run over from behind, get spun out, and cost yourself a good finish.
Boy, what a season this guy's having. I mean, 4 top 10s, leading the points.
We're all around, no pressure.
He's consistent everywhere.
Channel material. And look, wasn't afraid to change the motor and go to the rear. Weren't worried. A lot of guys say, well, we're doomed.
And wasn't afraid to let people pass him. Say, I'll race you when the time comes.
2 guys that went to the rear are first and second point men. Where are they now?
Right up there.
First and fifth.
Just wiggling, get back to the line. Got no pressure.
Sterling Marlin will get his 8th consecutive top 10 finish, his 10th Winston Cup career win, and his 2nd win of 2002. Marlin wins the Carolina Dodge Dealers 400. Elliott Sadler 2nd. Harvick 3rd, and for 4th, Earnhardt Jr. holds off Ryan Newman, Jimmy Johnson, and Rusty Wallace.
And a fast closing Matt Kenseth.
Jeff Gordon ends up 9th, Bill Elliott 10th.
Chip Ganassi, car owner.
2nd Darlington win for Sterling in 37 starts here. He won this race in 1995. Now, though he started last in a backup car, he'll be credited with starting 11th. That's where he qualified for this race. Steve Burns.
Thanks, Mike.
Did a great job.
Lee, you guys did that one the hard way. Have to drop all the way to the rear of the field. How does it feel?
Man, it feels great. I tell you what, got the best driver out there, got the best crew, got best sponsors, best car owners. To come from dead last and to win here today is certainly a contribute to how strong our race team is, and certainly Sterling, just an awesome guy, and just so proud of this race team. And I'd like to thank Coors and Dodge Coors Light. I love it, man. We again, we had a great car, and we were really good again on the long runs. We weren't good, never good on the short runs. Took our car about 15, 20 laps to come in, and you got to race this old racetrack, just like I said earlier. And unfortunately, it come up, bit a few people, but that's what we had to do, is race this old racetrack today.
Let's go to victory lane, Lee.
Thank you, bud.
2 for Sterling Marlin, and he extends his point lead.
And I'm really proud. I'm happy for Sterling to get the opportunity to show just how good a race car driver he is. Sterling he has probably the most experience of anybody in the garage area right now. And he's been with a lot of teams, but this one is the right one for him, the right combination.
They're doing all the right things.
Tony Glover's there with him. They've worked well together in the past. Lee McCall doing a great job working on the car. All that stuff he got at the headrest and everything makes it a little difficult to get out sometimes.
It's becoming a familiar sight. Sterling Marlin in victory lane with Dick Berggren.
Attaboy, Sterling Marlin. What a great job. They talk about how tough this racetrack is, and we're looking at all the bent-up race cars. How'd you get through all that stuff from the back of the pack and wind up here?
A great race team. I mean, Chip and Felix is a great race team, and all the guys at the shop and here, and they're just a great bunch of guys. And I was really lucky, when they wrecked off 2 over there, I almost hit Tony and got through it. Hope everybody's okay. I know they had to cut Tony out, I guess. Hope he's okay. And 2 or 3 got shook up. Hope my teammates okay. And I'd like to thank Coors Light, Dodge, Target, Goodyear, all these guys. It's great.
You're looking at all the decals. Hey, you've been with some pretty terrific teams before, but this is something that has never happened in your career, running up front week after week after week. Why?
I tell you, it just feels good. This team's got a lot of determination, and we're going to race every race, try to win it, and try to win this championship. I mean, I'm 44, and it's the best team I've ever been with, and they got me some great race cars. This is one we won Vegas with, and they got a couple more like it coming up, so we're ready for them, I think.
Were you thinking motor at all today?
No, Ernie didn't do a great job, and we had to go to the back to start the race. They seen a lifter, it didn't look just right, and why chance we're leading the points, and it's kind of tough to pass here. It's a place you get in trouble pretty quick if you don't watch it, but had a good car, just took our time, come up through the pack, and things worked out.
Having the best ride of his entire life. Sterling Marlin, winner this afternoon at Darlington. Mike?
Sterling Marlin has tamed the Lady in Black. Welcome to our Carolina Dodge Dealers post-race show. Here at Darlington, Sterling Marlin is your winner. Elliott Sadler, Kevin Harvick. And with Elliott Sadler, our runner-up, Steve Burns.
And with Elliott Sadler, you didn't hear that was a great run. You need to tell us about it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool right there. I mean, to run up front all day like that, get a lap down, the guys not give up on me. Great pit stops all day. This Motorcraft Ford Taurus is pretty good. The owner made a decision Thursday morning before we left to come here. We switched cars. This was not the car we were going to bring. But those guys decided to bring it here, and it paid off. Great finish.
All right, great run, Elliott. Let's go to Matt.
Well, Junior, back when you made your first start here, when you completed that race, I said, how do you sum it up when you said it was like you and about 10 cartons of TNT Dynamite? How about today?
It's a little bit better. We came here, rolled off the trailer real comfortable. Steve Park tested here, and we used a lot of his stuff and used some of Michael's shocks from his practice yesterday, and the cars seem to be real good. Just not quite as good, as the 40 and the 21, them guys, but to get out of here with the top 5 is the first one we've ever had, so I'm real happy, real excited. Good for our point situation, maybe a bump us up 10th or so.
I never knew you drove a limo on an ice rink before.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's like. It's kind of like driving a Zamboni, but it gets old. But on new tires, it's a lot of fun. But driving around, sliding around, man, it makes for a hard day's work. We definitely put it in today.
Second straight top 5 finish for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Steve?
Well, thanks, Matt. Caught up with Ryan Newman. Ryan, you guys did it the hard way again. You had to go to the rear. Had a great qualifying run. Tell us about your day.
Well, like you said, we had a great qualifying run on Friday, but I think we cut a left rear tire down in practice, and I got loose and got up and got in the wall, and I had to go to the backup car for race day here. And it just says a lot about the team to bring a brand new race car right off the truck. No time on the racetrack at all. This is the first lap. This car's turn today was the first lap of the race, and the pit stops were awesome. Just a great day for us in the Altel Ford, and there's a lot of good things we can bring out of this.
Great job, Brian. Let's go back to Matt.
Well, Steve, coming in today, Kevin Harvick averaged a 30th place finish, and How about today? The old lady in black, you didn't do too bad.
No, we struggled a little bit at the beginning, but we kept ourselves on a lead lap. And then about the third or fourth stop, car came on. We got ourselves solidly in the top 10 and got caught under the pits, under the green in the pits there. And luckily, that was a good thing, it looked like. So we gained a couple spots off of that wreck, but I think we had a top 7 or 8 car, and we needed this for these Goodwrench guys and everybody on this team.
We'll see you next week at Bristol. To Dick Berggren.
With Chip Ganassi, he has just waded through the entire crew, shaking hands with just about everybody on the way. Mister, everything you touch in auto racing winds up in victory lane. What is your magic touch?
My magic touch is I'm fortunate to run into some great people, and whether it starts down here with Felix Sabates or Andy Graves and Tony Glover and Sterling and Ernie Elliott and just the whole gang, I'm lucky that I run into good people. That's what it is.
This guy, doesn't matter. Indy cars, Winston Cup cars, he wins in all of them.
Sterling Marlin, second time this year as a winner, celebrating there with the Dodge dealers in victory lane.
Elliott Sadler gets his second place finish of the year, finishes second at Daytona 500 and second here today.
Yeah, and you don't want to come to Darlington unless you got your work clothes on.
Right.
So that's what you have. That's a day's work, just like Dale Jr. said.
Bill Elliott dodged the big wreck there, ends up in the top 10.
We asked Sterling Marlin about was he worried about the motor. He wasn't worried about the motor. I'm sure what he was worried about was getting to the front without having a problem.
The attrition was high. 9 drivers failed to finish, ended up in the garage. That will turn some of the top 10 of the points topsy-turvy, with Tony Stewart, who came in here 5th in the standings, being one of those.
Not a good day to be leading the race.
No,
except except at the end.
Yeah, right.
Pole sitter Ricky Craven finishes 41st. Looked like he had a car that was going to be up there contending for the win.
And how about those rookies finishing 5th and 6th? Let's go back downstairs to Steve.
And we've caught up with one of them, Jimmy Johnson. Boy, look at the leaderboard. You come here, finish 6th.
The cool thing is if you walk around this race car, there isn't a stripe or any dents or anything on it. So the guys in the fab shop, there's no work from my side. So just honestly, this is probably the highlight of my career, to come here and be this competitive at Darlington. We got caught down a lap in the pits when the caution came out, and then had the big wreck on the backstretch where we were able to get back caught up. And this is awesome. All the support from Hendrick Motorsports, everyone at home watching, all the departments, and all the support from the Lowe's employee owners. We're having a blast. This is cool.
I can tell. Congratulations. Let's go to Chris.
All right, thank you very much. So let's have a look at the point standings. Sterling Marlin, who came in as the leader, fattens that lead, but Ryan Newman trying to hang with him, and Rusty Wallace, who has never won here in Darlington, with a strong finish to move up to 4th. And you see the rookie Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon 6th, with Jeff Hammett here in the Hollywood Hotel. It was not a good day. This was really a theater for the bizarre, with some of the different storylines we had working and some of the crashes we had, from Steve Park's return, Jeff Gordon trying to snap out of his slump, certainly Tony Stewart trying to win back-to-back races. Sterling Marlin ends up winning it. Let's go early. Steve Park had the lead and led on lap 38 until this wreck took place.
Yes, right there. He's trying to get under Stacy Compton, a lap car, and as a lot of the drivers said, it felt like that was very influential as far as him getting into him and then eventually wrecking, putting him out of the race.
And returning to racing, to the scene that knocked him out 6 months ago, Steve Park was able to at least return in the race in his car. As for Tony Stewart, he had the lead. This is on lap 226. And Buckshot Jones slowing down, causing Stewart to wreck. And then with the smoke, obviously a number of cars. You see Jeff Gordon sneaking by, Sterling Marlin. But then the Chip Ganassi car with Jimmy Spencer actually being pushed from Ken Schrader and running into him.
Yeah, all that smoke right there, Chris. And everybody keeps talking about lap traffic, and these racetrack in particular, it's so slick off of turn 2. We saw Buckshot Jones. He got loose. The 20 car of Tony Stewart came in there, didn't have a place to go. They collected each other up, and next thing you know, we had a massive crash over it. We're very lucky that Tony Stewart wasn't more injured than what he was.
11 cars involved, and because of some of the safety improvements from the Hans or the Hutchins device or some of the other safety devices in the car, everyone walked away except Tony Stewart. He was taken the official release here to Carolina's hospital system in Florence by air, Florence, South Carolina. He was conscious and alert, complaining of pain in his lower back. He was also complaining of numbness and tingling in his left foot. As you get a look at Victory Lane and Sterling Marlin and his his gang. But Tony Stewart will undergo a CAT scan of the head, back, and abdomen. But some of the other drivers did speak with him and said he was in good spirits and appears to have gotten out of that in terrific shape when you consider the wreck. And the key, that pileup, really, as we saw the cars going through, Jeff Hammond, Sterling Marlin, one of those to get through without any serious damage to his car, and then he was able to maintain that lead later.
And we were able to hear him over the air calling Tony Glover and Lee McCall, letting them know, man, I'm coming through the smoke, and all of a sudden I turned, and he saw there was Tony Stewart. He made the right decision. He cut underneath Tony Stewart, avoided that accident right there, and it had to be the key moment as far as his victory is concerned. Then his knowledge of the racetrack and experience came together. He was able to maintain a certain pace, didn't get excited with Earnhardt when he took the lead from him, got it back, and drove to victory.
Sterling Marlin, a captain on his high school team as a quarterback and linebacker when he played football, so used to surviving pileups, and he got through that one, this time in a car, to win the race here in Darlington tonight. Of course, and then you'll see the race on Fox and wrapped up on Victory Lane, all access on Fox Sports Net. Sterling Marlin, your winner. The lady in black, tough on a number of cars. Elliott Sadler finishing second, Kevin Harvick third. You quickly, Jeff Hammond, a couple of other storylines. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the rookies, Ryan Newman, and Jimmy Johnson finishing fifth and sixth.
You really can't say enough about it. There was a perfect example of how Ryan Newman is showing he's got a lot of support. I think from the Penske group, he's very calm, came to the back of the pack, stayed second points after a tough race.
And the drought for Jeff Gordon continues. 13 straight races, finishing out of the top five. And again, his last victory came last September in Kansas, but the 11-car crash up, the key is Sterling Marlin made it through and all the way to victory lane. A number of other drivers surviving well. Once again, the track that has the nickname Too Tough to Tame took its toll on the best drivers in the world. Steve Park did return to racing. Jeff Gordon did lead the most laps. Tony Stewart did have the lead, but after the 11-car pileup, Sterling Marlin survived to win. Happy St. Patrick's Day. We'll see you next week in Bristol, Connecticut. For all of us, I'm Chris Myers. Thanks for watching NASCAR on Fox.